All right, this is the moment y'all been waiting on all night. You didn't know it, but this is the moment y'all been waiting on. I'm officially gonna let Mono Neon loose. And y'all about to get all the funk. Y'all give it up for Mono Neon. Y'all make some noise. Mano Neo, you gonna go to the next level. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Let's go!
It's weird. And I know I have this thing set right where it shouldn't be doing that. But anyway, gonna go on with the show anyway. Hope you guys are doing well. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Just type in ones if you can hear me. Let me make sure it sounds okay. Last time I tried to do this thing, it sounded really, really chorusy. And I don't want it to sound like that this time. It sounds okay on my end. Make sure it sounds okay on your end. One, scrutinize this. You're there, okay? Okay, let me see. Get one more before we get going with this thing. All right, so let's get going with it anyway. Now, it's been a crazy week. And here we go with everything that's going on in the world. We have to deal with American politics. Now, those of you who follow American politics, you already know how crazy it can get. You know, you finally get politicians to show up to your church. Now, all of a sudden, they want to have the Holy Ghost and experience the fire of the move. Then they decide to come to church, and now they find everything major to say. Now everybody wants to be, oh, I feel like I'm good. I want to worship you. I want to worship God. But then when they get elected, they don't come to your church anymore. Isn't that not weird? Well, it seems like they're having a lot of problems down, especially in the South. Right now, if you are a Republican, I will pray for you, because Republicans have lost their minds. Because it's one thing to be conservative, but it's another thing to just flat out be racist. You think I'm playing? Over the weekend, this was found on, what's the name of the show? Young Turks. I watched them Young Turks. I consider myself an independent. I'm not a Democrat. I haven't been a Democrat for over a decade. So for those of you who think I'm a Democrat, you're wrong. I'm not leftist. I'm not a liberal. I'm right in the middle. What used to be, which is weird, what used to be back in the 70s, used to be the Republican Party. That's probably what I would be right now. I'm right there in the center, but it seems like it's just, that center is so blurred right now. Either you're hard right or you're hard left. It's just like it's better for me. I'd rather just take my chances in the blurriness that is called the center. But I'm an independent. I vote for Republicans here locally. So I just don't deal with the Republicans on a national level. And this is probably one of the reasons why.
Violent crime is surging in Louisiana. Woke leaders blame the police. I blame the criminals. A mom should not have to look over her shoulder when she's pumping gas. I voted against the early release of violent criminals, and I opposed defunding the police. Look, if you hate cops just because they're cops, the next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead. I'm John Kennedy, and I approve this message.
So John Kennedy says you should call a crackhead the very next time you get in trouble. Now, this is extremely problematic because if you looked at the video, all the people that committing crimes were what? You see the people that he said were committing crimes. And this is just not him. I was just watching the news earlier and they were saying how it's just right here. They saying, oh, you're going to be robbed and everything else. And it's usually black and brown people they're showing. So I did some research on crackhead. If you look at what crackhead is, crack was once an inner city urban minority problem. Of course, the tables are turning and it's reaching now it's reaching the masses. And now it's become a problem. But if you can still see, black people are still overwhelmingly the majority of the crack users. So when he says the crackhead, who exactly is he talking about? Well, I got more data for you. Black Americans, who make up 12.2% of the American population, account for 37% of crack users. That's nearly half. So when you're saying call a crack addict, what are you talking about here? We do understand that there's crime in our communities. We understand that. It has always been. But one thing that they refuse to deal with, which is a direct correlation between violent crimes, is poverty. Poverty plays a big part in what goes on in politics, right? And as far as poverty. Everywhere I've gone in this country, and I've been to almost every state in the union, everywhere I've gone, where there was high crime, usually it was poverty. And most of the time, it was us, people that look like you and I. So when I saw this commercial, I said, whoa. So I used to be I wanted to do something about it, especially a few years ago when I was in Wisconsin and going back and forth from there into Indiana. I actually used to go to Black Lives Matters movements and benefits and, marches and everything else. And I actually wanted to believe that these guys were the solution or trying to be the solution. But what I got, even though I agree with the movement, social injustice, police brutality, I'm all for fighting against that. And even though, just like they did the Black Panthers, they tried to do with the UNIA, the NAACP, the Black Muslims, any way that they could try to bring them down, they would. And if it's any corruption, they'll pretty much put it on Front Street, put it right in your door and say, hey, look, it's a lot of crime going on in your community. And so when I used to march with them and everything, I started to see something. I started to see a dynamic that I didn't agree with. I started to see that these guys were, low-key feminists. I saw a lot of LGBTQ XYZ over the square root of 14 and everything else. I saw all of that, but I still tried to ignore it. But it was right in my face. So I no longer attended the meetings. I'm not even sure. I'm pretty sure that they're not around like that because they kind of lost their luster once they were able to be crushed with these issues going on with corruptions. So nobody follows them as much. But I still agree with what they were trying to do. So why are you saying this? Back in the day when Black Lives Matter was in its peak, and everybody was saying Black Lives Matter. Every time a police killed someone, which happened this summer a few times in Chicago, or shot somebody, Black Lives Matter would get jumped to the action. They would go and march and protest, right? So some white guys figured that, I'm going to fight against this. And we're going to come up with White Lives Matter, which was a direct response, a racist response to Black Lives Matter. So why is this important? When I look up and see one of our most influential people wearing this, it kind of took me back because I'm saying, I know people say you have mental issues. I won't attack your mental issues. But what I will say is, dang well what that was about when they said White Lives Matter. Why are you doing this, bro? So when I saw this, I said, oh no, we're not doing that. But that wasn't the only thing. He went on Tucker Carlson, who is one of the most blatant racists on TV. There is no way you can watch that show on Fox News or False News or whatever you want to call it. There's no way you can watch that show and say, oh my God, this is great news. Every other time. And you know what they do? Normally when they try to attack people that look like me, they don't say it themselves. They usually call one of us to do it. And most of the time, we're very, very happy to oblige. Hence, Candace Owens. Hence, what's the other lady name? I forgot her name. She's such a nobody. Nobody even remembers her no more. But I follow the show in due time, bro. Keep up your endeavors. Follow the show, but we will follow up. What conversation, Robert? What conversation are you speaking of? But we will follow up our conversation in due time. I want to know what conversation. Let me know what conversation we can follow up on. Let me know. Because if I'm saying something that you don't agree, I'll be more than happy to do a follow-up with you. So if it's something direct conflict, well, I don't know what you mean. But anyway, you made me lose my thought. But anyway, Kanye, we're not the only people he was attacking. I saw this today. The phrase has been described. These people who are not me that are saying it's white supremacist hate slogan. Originated in 2015 as a racist response to the civil rights movement, Black Lives Matter. But then Kanye turns up with this. I've been sleeping tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. So it's not just us he's going after. And I'm wondering what's the end game here. But because the Republican Party has become so far right, it's hard to even gauge when. And then here's the thing. You can say whatever you want about people who look like me, but once you go here, there's a problem. And they ended up banning him from restricting his Twitter and banning him from restricting on Instagram and Facebook. So why is this important? Because a few years ago, I left a comment saying about him when you guys were going up in the mountains singing to the sun and everything else. And so I wanted to lead off this conversation with this one question. When is the next Sunday service? When is the next Sunday service? Because you guys thought that he had saw the light. Oh, we're going to sing. We're going to sing. We're going to sing. All social media. Okay. Silverbacks. All right, Robert, we can talk about silverbacks if you want. We could definitely talk about silverbacks. And I'm okay in what regard, though? All right. But anyway, yeah, now everybody was saying, oh, my God, this is such a wonderful thing. This is such a wonderful thing. But it's really not a wonderful thing because I saw through it anyway. He played you like a fiddle, made his money off of you, and now he's back pretty much running you to the sand. Because instead of going to Roland Martin, BET, or any other black syndicate to talk about these issues like he did when he was doing Sunday service, he makes sure that he's in the front of the audience that's going to cheer him on and pump his ego while he goes at you. That's amazing to me. Come on, Preachers Going Wild. It didn't do it. Because we're not doing Preachers Going Wild right now. But I wanted to start off with that because that was weird to me, and I'm trying to keep this show moving, but that was weird to me because we were going to Sunday's service. Some of you were missing your own service to go there. Some of you were missing your own service. You would not even go to your own service to go there. How do you feel now? Interesting enough. But he's not the only doofus of the week.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Okay, this doofus of the week is going to be very, very, very interesting because football season has started and everybody's been watching football. Football's actually over here playing as we speak. But sometimes you want to announce to the world that you're having a girl. And you want to announce to the whole millions and millions of people who may be watching a football game. But I would hope that you didn't do this.
Did he tear his ACL? Oh, fuck. He hurt. Oh, yeah. He's still going.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
If I should have a child, I will never run on the football field to get my head knocked off by doing something as dumb as he did. You ran on the football field, and then y'all ready for this? I wish I had a drum roll here. Y'all ready for this? He filed charges against the football player. You ran on the field, got blazed because you wasn't supposed to run on the field, and then you filed charges against the guys who stopped you from running on the field. You cannot make this up. This is the world we live in where people can do the wrong thing. They can do the wrong thing, and then, what up, Christopher? We waiting on you, bro. You can jump in. I sent you the link. When I get there. I'll get there. But yeah, I saw this. I said, no. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. At what point does this end? you could commit a crime and then file charges of the person that stopped you from committing the crime. Now, running on the field, last I checked, I don't know, but it's not a crime per se. But if you run on the field, then you become a participant of what's going on in the field. If you jump in the ring while they're doing kickboxing, you're going to get blazed. We watch, those of you who watch, what up, business? We watch wrestling, and we seen what happens when people come from the audience and jump in the ring. What makes you think one of the most violent sports in the world, you think you going to jump on the field and run and not get blazed? You just cannot make this up. Stay in the field. Listen to future wifey. Baby, I love you. Future wifey, you pregnant. Stay there. Don't tell me at the football game what we having. That's not the time for a gender reveal. Because if I run on the field, especially in Chicago, I guess they figure we losing anyway. We might as well pop somebody, and then it's going to be me. Then it's going to be me. My helmet, you know, being as though I don't wear a helmet, it's going to be my head. It's going to be, whoa, did I just say my head?
Pause.
That's, you know what I mean. Okay? So I just couldn't imagine me being that stupid. But anyway. Whatever. Shout out to Minnesota. Right. Now, Preachers Gone Wild, I did receive some of your videos. I'm going to post your videos next week, but this is a special Preachers Gone Wild because this video was sent to me last week, but I had already done the edits for that show. And I do my edits, and trust me, I usually do them on like late Friday, Saturdays, and if I don't have to play Sunday afternoon. So if you send me a video for Preachers Gone Wild, it has to be in my hand for edit by Sunday night. If you have it, if you wait till Monday morning, there's no way. I work, so by the time I get home and I set up lights and everything else, I don't have time to put Preachers Gone Wild. Now, some of them should have made this show, but I'm trying to keep this thing moving because we got a lot to do tonight. We got some things to talk about. But we're going to talk about something that most churches talk about now, especially if you grew up in Pentecostal church like I did. And when I saw the video that you guys sent to me, it's amazing. One of the videos that I had already had on deck that I was going to show, because I got so many. You see what I'm saying? But it made it this week, and we're going to talk about it. Check this out. It would help if they had volume. Let's do this again. When I saw this video, I said, "What?" I didn't know what you were saying. I mean, that's what I said. That's why I said, "What? What?" I didn't know what was happening here. But see, we laugh at that. We laugh at that. We are laughing at that. This becomes funny to us because it's not what we used to hearing. Those my missionary Baptist brothers and sisters, they definitely like, oh, no, we're not doing that. If you were from a starch missionary Baptist church, we do that outside, my boy. We don't do that up in here. We gonna carry you right outside, right? But then when this video was sent to me.
Oh, Lord. Okay, I got you. Oh, I'm shaking. Okay. I'm not nervous. It's just the Holy Spirit. Okay. So he wants me to share this first. I just need y'all to give me 30 minutes, just 30 minutes, 30 minutes.
So she wanted 30 minutes. But people in her comment section had a lot of time. You hear me? You hear me? They had a lot of time. One person said, and I quote, "This is unbelievable and sad and disgusting at the same time." I was ready to laugh and I couldn't. Would have sat her down immediately, right? The next person came and said, "I wished I was there to translate. I heard a word say, sit your monkey." I know what the rest said. Sit your monkey aspirations down. I got it. We got it, right? Then you had another one. She said she learned that in Juanita Bino's ministry prayer conference for 5,000. Will there be one to sign up and learn how to speak in the heavenly language? This is what she said. Wow. Wow. Okay. Then, bro, this ain't even right. I thought maybe something was wrong with my hearing, but that's the it's the dialect she's trying to use. You need to log off. It's hilarious. The last one, which is the one that took me out. I couldn't even listen to the whole thing because these tongues was taking me out tremendously. Those not the tongues that fell on the day of Pentecost. You hear me? It brings me to this. We're going to talk about this real quick. Give me like 10 minutes. I'm going to move through this thing like you ain't never seen. I'm going to move through this. But I really, really wanted to jump on this thing. Now, before we get started, I grew up in third generation Church of God in Christ. My grandmother, far as I knew, she came from PAW to Church of God in Christ. So I'm Pentecostal of the Pentecostals. Yes, I believe in all of it. So we won't do the argument. But I'm not stupid either. Okay? And I'm not calling you stupid if you believe in it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is all you people that laughed at this lady, by the time I'm done, because I'm going to change my hat from Derek to the antagonist. So right now, I'm going to bring you a different take on all of this that some of you probably never heard, and that bubbling you feeling down in your stomach, that's called cognitive dissonance, which means what I'm going to say is going to make you feel uncomfortable. And some of you might downright say, "Oh no, he's not right." Well, I want you to show me why I'm not right in the comment sections or in my inbox. Okay? So y'all ready to get started? These tongues that we speak in church, I've always wondered even though I believe, I've always wondered where they come from. Why do we do it? What does it mean? Why are so many people doing it at the same time? What's going on here? I've always wondered that. Really, believe it or not, I always wondered it. Even though I spoke in tongues myself growing up. But I've always wondered what was up. So when I look up and I see stuff like this, because this will stay in my feed, because this was unbelievably epic, that you would type in tongue. You would type in tongue. That's epic right there. That's on a level that's higher than you could ever imagine. Because you took the time out to type it. That's high. That's some dedication right there. But because you typed it, right then and there, somebody who studies languages or linguistics or whatever they call it, somebody who studies this stuff took this and said, does this mean anything? Does this mean anything in any language to anybody? And they analyze this stuff. Why is that important? Oh, we're going to get to that. But this past weekend, I played for a friend of mine. I played this concert. It was everybody was there. It was a few people there. Well, it was more than a few people. It was a nice crowd. But it was a nice situation. But everybody was singing worship. It was in the worship vibe, right? But one of the songs that I was supposed to play and never got to because of the worship experience was a song from this album right here from Dietrich Hatton called Don't Let Me Fall. It almost sounded like a Michael Jackson, tell me why, tell me that it's human. Whatever, human nature song. I loved it when I was growing up. I really couldn't listen to it without my mom saying, that's the devil's music. Even though she never really said that, but I kind of knew that's what she implied. But when at the end of the song, this happens.
Toramana la bossa katara ya la bossa. Orana la bossa taya la bossa taya la bossa. Roda la bossa taya la bossa taya.
So that happened at the end of the song and it immediately caught my ear. And it's funny that this was sent to me and all this happened at the same time. So I'm sitting up here saying, okay, do y'all understand what was said here? It was said in the mic. It was said over, no interpretation, nothing. On the mic. And I said, he's a Michael Jackson fan. Okay, Miss Lynn, thank you. And that's okay. But, and this is no knock on him. I'm saying what was said, where was the interpretation, what was going on here, right? But then a friend of mine at my job, I had her pray.
Padre Santo, Señor Jesús, venimos ante tu presencia, mi Dios, dándote honra y gloria a ti por quien tú eres, Padre Santo. Te pedimos, Señor, que tú bendigas todo lo que se va a hacer en este lugar, Señor Padre Santo, y que tú toques los corazones de aquellos que están en necesidad de ti, Señor, en tu santo nombre. Amen.
So you guys get where this is going. One of these languages, neither one of them most of us can understand, right? Neither one of them. Gracias mi Dios, eres su santo. You see what I'm saying? Tu eres santo. You see, do you know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? If I was to say this thing, gracias mi Dios, tu eres santo, you probably say, oh, he's speaking in tongue. I am speaking in languages. I'm speaking in Spanish. You see what I'm saying? So if my friend was to come to my church and speak, even though she's speaking, would you not understand what she said? If you couldn't speak Spanish, would you understand what she said, right? Or would she need an interpreter to tell you what she is saying? This thing resonates with me. I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong. I'm bringing a different aspect to make you think. See, what you guys don't know, I'm going to give you a history lesson. If you know these people, good. If you don't, we'll learn. The guy to the left of your screen is named Charles Fox Parham. His name is Charles Fox Parham. The guy to the right that you should know, they shouldn't. I'm going to get to that, Harold. That's a good point. Now, check this out. This guy to the right is called William Seymour. If you are a Pentecostal, you know exactly who this is, or you've at least heard of him. And if you're not, I'm sure you've heard of the Azusa Street revival. This is the guy that started it, the guy to the right. The guy to the left was his teacher. The guy to the left said, what did he say? Oh, the guy to the left actually was preaching that tongues or languages were real languages, that people were speaking. I'm sorry, I read some comments. That people were speaking. So he believed that he could teach his students that the power of the Holy Spirit will give them the gift where they can go out to China, to Asia, to Ethiopia, and all around the world preaching the gospel in languages that they themselves never learned. That's what he thought. Now, some people would say the glossia or glossolalia, whatever, however you pronounce it, and they say that's not what was in the Bible. Now, my strong concordance, Thayer actually said it was that word. So whatever you want to say. So why is this important? Because in the book of Acts, those men from different places said, how is it that we understand what they are saying? These were languages that people understood. People understood these languages, y'all. People understood them. They were amazed. Why? Paul then comes back and says, tongues, languages is for the unbeliever, not the believer. So why would the unbeliever want to hear, and would they not say you are mad? Is that not what the scripture says, right? But guess what? I saw a video when I was doing research for the show. I decided to cut it down because I got to get to the other stuff. Yeah, that's what it's called, glossolalia, whatever. I can't even pronounce that. It's Greek. But Jameer, thank you. I'll post it up. It's already there, but I'm going to post it up so people can see what he's saying. That's what it's called. But it's another one that people say is Zeno something. It starts with Zeno, which means known. But here's the thing. I saw this video. And I looked in the comments because I keep telling y'all, what do I always say? In the comments is what? It's the gold. The gold is in the comment section. You go in the comment section to see what the temperature of the room really is. You get to see what people really, really think, the general public, right? So when I read the comments, do you not know there were unbelievers there? Do you know what they were calling him? They said, and I quote, one of them, somebody forgot to take their meds. And somebody said, I have whatever he's smoking. And they were going on and on and on and on. Why? Because they did not understand what he was saying. And you say, well, he spirit understood what he was saying, but there was no interpretation. Nobody sat there and said, look, this is what's being said. So we get people in church and they say, oh, I can interpret my own things. And I could. If I speak a little Spanish, I could probably interpret what I said. When I said, gracias mi Dios, that means thank you, my God. Right? When I said tu eres santo, that means you are holy. So I can interpret my own script, my own tongue right there. But what I'm saying is, if you are under the power of Holy Spirit and you praying, you going in, somebody else can be there that can understand and interpret for you. That's why the Bible said 2 or 3. It didn't even say you. It didn't even say you. He said, I hope that you could interpret, but it really, in the order of service, he said 2 or 3 to interpret. But when you come in our churches, it's like 8, 9 of them. All at the same time going. All at the same time. So when people come from the street, the unbeliever, the people that don't even know about this, when they come in, what would they say? What would they say? Thank you, Jay. What would they say? What would they say if they saw all these people when they hear Baba? Now, let me break this thing down for you. If I was to interpret my own, because I've seen this happen many times. What did you say? Hear me, O people. God is coming. No, there is no way you said ba 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 ba. That is not forming a sentence. Anybody that analyzes languages would know there is no way. There is no differentiation. Harold said it earlier. It shouldn't sound the same. No, because words don't sound the same. I just gave you like 3 sentences, and none of them sound the same. None of them sound the same. So if you go, and you say, what did you say? I said, spirit is coming, and you're going to have to move. You're going to have to touch things. That's not what you said, my boy. You said, Now, I'm looking at my language dictionaries. I studied a little Spanish, a little French, a little Hebrew, a little this stuff I studied, especially when I was in college. And I'm looking at this stuff, and I'm saying, there is no way. Sentences all should sound like sentences. They should say something. But when you go ba 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 ba, so what is your point, D? What is your point? How do you know her tongues is fake and yours is real? You based it off of what exactly? Because nobody's interpreting your tongues, so you can't interpret hers. So how can you then excoriate her for what she's doing, but you pretty much doing the same thing because nobody's interpreting your tongue? And when Paul speaks and says you are edifying yourself, he wasn't saying that to encourage you to do it. He was basically saying it don't matter because the only person understanding is you and God. So you're not helping nobody. So be quiet. That was a criticism. That wasn't for you to say, oh, I'm going to do it by myself. No, he was basically saying, shut up. Because nobody understands you. Nobody. Tongues, reason why he said that was for them, just like it happened in Acts. And this just is me breaking this thing down for what happened in that scripture. Because when they asked what was going on, yes, some people said they was drunk because they probably didn't understand what they were saying. But those men who came from all around, from Egypt, from Crimea, from Crete, whatever they call, all these places around, all these places, and if you go to Acts 2nd chapter, it runs down the places where they were coming from. It's a lot of people. And they were amazed. Man, they speaking languages. How they not educated? And then they say, well, you speaking in your heavenly language. And I ask you, where does that come from? And the first thing they say, oh, well, right here we said, though I speak in the tongues. See, you need to really understand, though in 16th century English means if. Basically, he said, even if I could do that and I don't have love, it means nothing. If I'm rich, I own multi-billion-dollar oil companies. I do. Though I own multi-billion-dollar oil companies. but I don't use it to help anybody else, then it means nothing. I don't own that. But if I say if I own it, it brings understanding what I'm saying. If I have these gifts and I don't have love, it doesn't mean anything. He never said he had the tongues of angels. He never said that. That's what you think. And this is where we get lost. So I'm not going at her. I'm going at you because you going at her. Chuka, 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 chuka. What's the difference? Ba, 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 ba. What's the difference? And I heard people say, well, I'm speaking unknown tongues. Yeah, it's unknown to everybody. Why? Because there's nobody to the left or the right of you to tell us what you're saying. That's why. Now, I grew up Pentecostal. This is what I'm used to. This is what I'm used to. But I'm not going to let y'all attack somebody else for doing precisely what you're doing just because it sounds different than you. You think you've been trained, so just because you can roll your tongue a little bit, speak Spanish, then I can talk, and you never been taught, then you would amaze me, and you amaze everybody else. It'd be like, wow, that is a miracle to the unbeliever. So what does the believers get? We get the prophecy. The prophesy, that's for the believers. We can handle it. The unbelievers don't understand that yet, but they can understand you don't know Spanish, and how in the world you speaking Spanish to me, and you never was trained to do it. Did that make sense to you? Did that make sense to you at all? Now, I want you, if you still want to do it, fine. Bobby Ashanto or way, I'm not going to stop you. But remember, before you go at somebody else about their tongue, bring to me your interpretation of what you said. In fact, tape yourself speaking in tongues. And you know, I'm up there. I'm not gonna give my age hackers, but I'm up there. And in my whole life, I've never really heard anybody else interpret somebody else's. I've heard people interpret themselves, and that's fine. But I've never heard people interpret what you're saying. What do you say? If I was to take what you said, write it down, and word for word, or slow it down, or send it out to everybody who said they had the gift of interpretation, right? They had the gift. God is harmonious. The Holy Spirit is harmonious. We are one, right? You apostolics, you love that, right? So, let me see. Okay, I'm getting some inboxes. Now, I hear what you're saying. We can start off with that if you want to. But yeah, so I'm this is where I'm at with it. I feel like if you're gonna go there, then if you're gonna go there on somebody else, make sure. And just because your junk sounds like Mongolian doesn't necessarily mean it is Mongolian, because you need somebody from Mongolia to say you're actually speaking it. See, that's what I'm saying. We always brought up, and I'm gonna move on, but we always been brought up to say, oh, well, wait, let me see what you're saying. If you have to interpret yourself, why not speak it? That's my point. I can speak a little Spanish, and Jay Rosado, he can speak Spanish very well. But what good is it for him to come in my church and speak Spanish and nobody else speak it? Who's going to be edified? Who's going to be encouraged, uplifted? Who's going to have this to be done to them if he comes in saying his Spanish, which is cool if he's in his church or whatever they speak Spanish. But we don't speak Spanish like that. Most of us don't. Most of us don't. I know some few words here and there. Like if he's speaking, I can pick out some of the verbs, some of the things that he's saying, but I got 2 semesters under my belt. You know, how many of y'all do have 2 semesters of a college Spanish under your belt? So I can pick out some of the words, but like if he was to get excited and start going, woo, I'm gonna slow, no, bro, slow that down. But he needs an interpreter. My friend, last one, his name is Arnaldo, right? He's a preacher, but he preaches at a Latino church. But at their church, if I was to walk in, somebody would come up. When he spoke, somebody would interpret. That's order. Not him just speaking and I'm just sitting here in the wind. Because here's the thing, we don't know what you're saying. Now, those of us who study Africa, we know our ancestors did do a lot of this. And they did do a lot of babbling and everything else. And it wasn't to Yahweh they was doing it to. So anyway, I just wanted to, I know it's going to do this amen thing again. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, It didn't do it. Wow, that's amazing. If you have to, but yeah, so I wanted to touch on that. I wanted to touch on that because to me, it was too much for me to read these people go in on this lady like that. Just because you don't understand what she's saying, and it may sound ridiculous to you, but has anybody ever thought and asked her, what did you feel when you were speaking? Did you feel like you were being used? She was chuka chuka chuka. She was going away. And the first one I saw, I was like, whoa. But I was like, what's different? What's different? Did I lose you guys? Or did you come away? I want to see some of your comments. I mostly want to see people that don't agree with me. I really do. But anyway, I'm going to move on because I could be on that all day. Because, and again, I'm not saying tongues is wrong the way we doing it. I'm giving you a different perspective. Because before we going to go on somebody else, you all in the mic going in on people. Nobody knows what you're saying. And Paul was very clear. Every time you do it, it needs to be interpretation. I guess we just go mosey on by that one. Now, I get it. Sometimes you be in it wrapped up and you just go in or whatever. But it is supposed to be interpreted there. Yes, every time. All right? Anyway, so somebody else sent me this. God. Somebody sent me this, and we're going to deal with this. I got some people here. And Chris, if you guys are coming on, you need to be headed there now because I'm getting ready to go. Chris, I see you there. Lakeisha, I think you should be heading on there. We're going to get there. We here now. So this is what we're going to cover today. We about to have a battle, y'all. I'm going to sit back and chill. I took this off because I normally make my own things, you know what I'm saying? But I decided to do it this way today because this is going to be a bloodbath. You hear me? And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. What sparked this? Well, I saw this. Somebody sent this to me. This man, he looks perplexed, right? My wife asked me for a $3,000 purse. I told her that was a waste of money, which it is. She said, okay, no problem. Later that week, I took her out to dinner. I see her pull out the $3,000 purse from our walk-in closet. I asked her, where did she get that bag from? She said her work husband gave it to her, got it for her. Was she right in doing this? Is her husband supposed to buy you? Is it your husband's responsibility to do that? And if he doesn't give you what you desire or quote unquote your needs, are you able to just go out and go to some other man and do it? Would this not be considered cheating? So why did she do this? Was this justified? See, these are things that we don't talk about. We just say, oh, she cheated on him. But there are levels to this. I always said that was great. I was not going to touch it, and I'm not going to touch it tonight. They're going to touch it, and I'm going to interject every now and then. I'm going to referee this thing. Right. So let's start with the men. Check this out.
I had 3 or 4 women on the roster, and I was considering them, and, I ended up going with you, right? And the reason I ended up going with you was based on what you showed me, right? When we was going on dates, you were super fun to be around. Conversation was engaging. We would kick it and, have sex very, very, very frequently. I didn't even have the energy to go out there and do nothing else because you was draining me every time we could, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, this is exactly what I need. Man, I'm good. I'm ready to bow out of the game. And then we get into the relationship and it dies down, right? So we was having sex 4 or 5 times a week, when we was at the dating stage, but now we had a serious relationship and it's 2 times a month. 3 times a month, right? So as a man, you come to your girl because men don't just go out there and cheat just right out the gate. Men will communicate the fact, hey, babe, what's going on? Like it's not what it was. And a lot of women will say, oh, okay, I'm gonna fix it, or they'll just get super defensive and blame it on you as to the reason why it's not happening, right? And men, like we so used to getting the blame that we just gonna take that and all right, cool. You saying you ain't giving it up because I'm not romantic? Okay, cool. So men gonna take that, go back to the drawing board. All right, I'm about to be super romantic. About to go out. Okay, what's a favorite restaurant? We going there. I'm gonna buy an outfit for it. I'm gonna set up some massages. I'm gonna take on a trip. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Right. And then he does that. And the sex picks up for about a week or 2. And then life gets in the way again. Right. Like she's having rough times at work, whatever the case may be, just not in the mood or whatever. And, it kind of dies down again. Right. And then this cycle just repeats and repeats and repeats until finally it's like, you know what, man, I'm about to just go get it from elsewhere.
So you heard what he had to say. That's why men cheat. That's what he's saying. Let's see what the ladies have to say.
Why women cheat? Women cheat. Yes, they do. Women are just very good pretenders, and we are perfect when it comes to hiding. My name is Okoro Blessing in Kiruka, and I'm popularly known as Blessing CEO, your #1 relationship therapist in Africa. Women cheat when they are tired. Women cheat emotionally. When a woman starts to cheat, it simply means that she's tired of something. She's looking for where to lean on. She's looking for where to rest. And that's the reason why when a woman starts to cheat, she gets carried away with her emotions, because while she's resting, she's getting some massage. She's getting some shoulder massage, some waist massage. While she's resting, she is relaxed. What does it mean for a woman to be tired? I'm going to explain this part to you, and that's one part a lot of men do not understand.
So I see y'all saying the tired thing. And let me say this before I bring my guests in. Men get tired too. We get tired very well because for a host of reasons. But before we get into that, let me get my notes, because I have my notes together. And let's get this thing going. I have some guests here. I have two. Where'd Christopher go? Oh, okay, we're all here. So I have some guests here, and we're going to talk about this thing. We're going to handle our business. The first guest, she's been here before. Her name is Trina. Give her a hand. Give her a hand. Well, we're not going to give her a hand. We're just going to do this. Come on, Trina.
Hi, D.
But next guest been on here before. His name is Christopher Terry. Man, this dude, yeah, he gonna bring it. I'm waiting on Keisha. Chris is here. You got your Bible, my brother?
Oh Lord.
Yes, sir.
The last one, listen, y'all not ready for him. This guy right here, he's gonna shut this thing down. You hear me? This dude, he's a personality. He has a YouTube. I think you guys need to go over to his YouTube page. I think you should leave your YouTube tag down there, Dwayne. When you get there, his name is King Dwayne. I'm sorry. Let me do this. King Dwayne coming on board. So, everybody. Listen, this is going to be a bloodbath. Now, the only thing I ask, no long diatribes. And that's the only one. We got to, keep this thing moving. When I give a question, you can jump on, give your answer. Let's move it out now. Outside of that, no holds barred. I don't know. She was here. Lakeisha was here. She might jump on. When she jumps on, I'll bring her back on. I saw her earlier, but she must have had to step away. When she comes back, I'll put her back on, okay? So she be here. But trust me, Trina, listen, I don't think y'all know. Trina can handle her own. She about to shut this thing down. So I got some questions, y'all. Then I'm gonna ask them the questions. I'm gonna let them have it. I'm just gonna point to the person I want to go. And then I'm gonna keep this thing moving. Yes, D will have his say, but I'm saying I want you guys, because this is the blood battle. Because people don't talk about this often. We just say you shouldn't do it. But I've always said, and I've said here numerous times, there are levels to this thing. It's not just so cut and dry. It's a whole lot of gray up in there between that black and that white. And so we're going to tackle that. So the first question, and I'm sure you guys are ready. What constitutes a relationship? How do you know you're in a relationship? What goes on to establish this relationship? Okay, I'm going to let Trina go first since she's the lady. Trina, let us know. Tell us, what does that mean?
To me, a relationship is a conversation about where we think we are. I don't think people should assume. I think we should talk about it. Are we just, you got all types of relationship. Are we platonic? Are we screw buddies? Are we dating while dating other people? Are we dating exclusively? So once you have decided with the other person where y'all at, I feel like that's when you can define a relationship.
Chris, take it.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but that it starts with a conversation. But I would also say that, at that point, that's when the commitment comes and then the loyalty comes, but only after that conversation. So I would actually agree with you there, Trina.
King.
I believe that a relationship qualifications and
You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
and so
Check your audio.
am I hold on.
Uh-oh, did he freeze on us? Did he freeze? Okay. So let me ask why he comes back. Does sex, say for instance, you have a woman and y'all have sex. Does at that point, does it become official? Does that consummate a relationship? Or should there still be a conversation after the sex? Anybody?
I think that there still should be a conversation. Sex is just sex. I mean, we got to talk about this. Just because you had sex with somebody doesn't mean I want to be with you for the rest of my life or I want to be dating exclusively with you. We need to have a conversation.
Chris?
Yeah, I would say that, yeah, technically, I think that sex should be, if we want to talk about it from a biblical perspective, that once you have sex, that constitutes a union. And then from that point, loyalty and everything, that's the biblical perspective. Unfortunately, in today's time, we look at it as just being sex. The danger part of that is sex is much more complicated. Yeah, I think it's even in Romans, it says we don't even understand the mysteries of sex, how you become one. So even on the spiritual level that we don't even understand at this point. But again, all the other things, spending money and all this other stuff can really bond you, and then people can have certain expectations. But I think it comes official in today's time, unfortunately, after the conversation.
Yep. King?
All right, can y'all hear me clear now?
Yeah, we hear you good now.
Okay, so what I believe a relationship is qualifications meeting curriculum. Direction I come from, I was raised like you at the same pentecostal church. When you grow up and you dig into the scriptures for yourself, one thing becomes evident that how Christ handled his disciples, he chose them curriculum. They came qualifications. And so when you talk about the man being Christ in marriage, would be the Holy Spirit. And of course, you kind of alluded to that they both have. And I believe that's how relationships are supposed to work. Once you
Chris, you made a face. You agree or not? This is the time, brother.
Yeah, I mean, I'll leave that one alone.
No, this ain't the time for that, my boy.
Nope, come through, Chris.
Go.
I got you. I think again, just back to what I was saying originally. I don't think that the way we do things now is the way it should be. It's certainly not the biblical Christian way that it should go. But in 2022, we have to understand where we are as well. Mm-hmm. But as believers, we should say, hey, if things are going to go as best they can, what we're going to have to do is get back to the Bible way of doing it. And I'm called a Bible thumper and this kind of thing. I'm like, no, I'm not trying to be deep, but it works best that way. You look back even 100 years ago when we operated closer to what it said, we had much better results, far better results. You can say what you want, even something like, giving dowries or, which I like fathers giving their daughters in marriage and that kind of thing. It's sad to say, but hey, D, you said today is the day. Women make terrible dating relationship decisions. A woman cannot differentiate between marital attention and all the other attention. She says, as long as I got attention, hey, I'm good. I can get married. I can do all these things. So again, in today's times, I think we do have to concentrate on making sure that we make the right. That's funny. Make sure we make the best biblical decision that we can, but understand in 2022, the conversation is still very needed.
Hold on, Nandi. And now I want to say, because we're saying that I get what you're saying about following the Bible's way. I'm not here to argue against that. But from a woman's perspective, your father could have accepted a dowry from a guy that was not going to treat you well. All right. So I don't, just that thinking of, oh, and the guy paid for you, it may turn out well for the guy, but for the woman, it's not good.
Proving Chris's point.
You say what?
And what I mean by that is I have hope in your father and his decision making. I'll ask this. What is marriage to you? Real marriage. What is real marriage? Because we already know, as Chris talked, we agree. Me and Chris, what we were saying, I believe they're the same things. I was just speaking to the question, but we know what we're dealing with. So we already know the nuances. So I asked, what is marriage? Because there is, and the reason why true marriage for me, and we know, going to the kind of, see, we're too greedy. That's the only reason why there's this first place. So we know that men and women didn't create marriage. It's a spiritual thing. Whether people are doing it or not in 2022. What real marriage, from father blood to father spirit, because you're taught, covered, led. That from birth past your, that's why your father walks you down the aisle and says, this is the man that I see over from me. So when the minister says, who gives this woman, he can say with truth, this my daughter just brought this guy and just threw him on me. He can really say, I was involved. That's how he can honestly raise his hand and say, I give this woman because I was involved in the process.
But what do you think about in the Bible, if we're talking about marriage and your dad supposed to be making the best choice for you? What do we think about in the Bible when Leah was given to Jacob when, knowing good and well he was working for Rachel? Do you think her dad kind of set her up for failure?
He did. And I'll tell you why that. He understood what was in Jacob. He was going, that's why Jacob ended up getting both. Jacob, the workman that he was, and what their father saw that all the things that I'm talking about, he saw that ahead of time. And yeah, he used them. We know that. But people don't really work with all the dynamics. With the serpent, that's a story. Eve, that's a story. Adam, that's a story. Just go from there. No, talk about Leah, Rachel, Jacob, Laban, dynamics. So I agree with you. We know he used everybody, and that point was trying to get Jacob. He knew that man was going to make greatness. See that a guy has the potential to be a billionaire, and he does it. I made a great choice. I got my daughter what I got her, and I don't have to worry about going forward because we know.
I look at that Trina's face. Look at that Trina's face. We gonna move on from that one because that could be a good one. Let me say this. I agree with Chris in that back in the day when we were doing things closer to where it was in scripture, it was better for us. It really was, because you had fathers in the house, you had mothers in the house, you had structure, you had order. You see what I'm saying? Now that you got so many women saying, I could be the head now. And remember, we ain't gonna go back into it, but remember what happened in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And now we are where we are, where everybody just thinking marriage is something where it really wasn't back in the day. You know, we had better structure. The children didn't do their own things. The parents made, provision for them, but they actually guided these children. Now you can't say anything to children. Everything's just jacked up so much now. But let's move on. Let me talk about something. We hear so much about the 80-20 rule, and a lot of people feel like they cheat because they're not getting everything that they need from a relationship. So it brought to this question. What does the 80-20 rule mean to you? Chris, you can go first on this one.
Well, the 80-20 rule, of course, where you can either give 20 and get 80 or this kind of thing. I've heard people apply that even to church. They say 20% give and 80% don't, 20% actually push the ministry, 80% don't do anything. But I think that in a relationship, here's where I got to come at you, Trina. I'll be honest. I asked a lot of women, different questions about relationships and so forth. And when I asked them, I said, hey, what do you want in marriage? I mean, it's a busted fire hydrant. I mean, just endless. Just go on with this and with this and with this. And they can't stop. But when I flip that question around and say, well, what would he want from you? It's crickets. I wish I had these recorded conversations. It's crickets. Like they don't know. Oh, well, and a woman thinks that a man wants what she wants. And nothing could be further from the truth. We are so different. And the better we understand that we are not the same, we don't think the same, none of that, I think that will really help. So I think that 20-80, the 80-20 rule, whatever it is, again, giving 20, getting 80, or like a lot of times I think women think that men should give 80 and they only give 20. Honestly, in today's time, that's just kind of what it is. And I just got to be honest on that.
Go ahead, Trina. I'll let you get it.
Okay. For what you said, to me, the 80-20 rule is we just have to understand we do not live in a perfect world and we're not dealing with perfect people. So you're going to have to make some concessions. Yeah, you may have your list of if this was the perfect world and these were the 10 things that I wanted, you have to find the 2 things that you can live without and be content with that, because you're not going to get 100% anywhere. Now, Chris, what you said about how the woman can ramble on about what she wants, but she can't tell you what the man wants. Is that because what my interpretation of what I think somebody wants, that may not really be what they want? So all I can do is tell you what I want. And then you can listen to me as being your woman, and you can decide if you can give me what I want. And the same thing, once I'm done telling you what I want, you can tell me what you want, and then it's up to me to decide if I can do those things or not.
I'm gonna let Anthony come in before I let you go, Chris. I know you got something to say in return, a retort. Go ahead.
I ain't got a lot. I just automatically think about the Tyler Perry. I don't know Why'd I Get Married To, where it was kind of broken down, and I've always looked at other than I don't know if any of you have ever heard someone talk about, today I might not like you, but then tomorrow I might. Or, where as long as both people don't like each other on the same day, or different things like that. The ideal of it is supposed to be that some days a person is going to be stronger. It's kind of like a, thinking back to some of the comments that were said earlier, the advantage of that, it was kind of like a science project where it's like, oh, I know you're an A student. You don't want to waste somebody down like that. And so it can be taken advantage of, or it can be that I might not be at my strongest, but then that's where the harmony comes in, because I'm not my best today and vice versa.
So I would say, to piggyback on what you were saying, Trina, you have a list of 10 things. You got to understand you're only going to get 80% of it. I get that part of it. I would say this, though, too. Again, hey, he said the gloves off today, so I got to be honest.
Go.
I think that women today don't have a godly idea. A lot of them honestly don't even have a logical idea of what they should be looking for in a man. It has been time immemorial throughout the generations, throughout the different nations on the earth. A man has always looked at the physical appearance of a woman. That has never been a value system for a woman. Oh, I got to have a nice looking man. But now today, y'all got to have a nice looking man. So y'all overlook the guy who has the spiritual quality, who has the committal part of it down, where he will commit and be serious and be responsible for you. Women overlook these things. I'm like, man, this dude has a job. He pays his bills. He's committed. He has a spiritual thing. But they'll say, he dresses like, for example, whatever case may be. And I'm like, wait a minute. Again, women don't know what that is. And we got to revisit that. And again, I love my family. I can look at my family. I can look at my church family. I have these conversations regularly. A lot of times women don't know what they should be looking for. Men have been very consistent on what we want. A man will not marry a woman he is not physically attracted to. There's a certain range. He said, well, I can get to a 3 to a 7 or 8 to a 10, whatever that range is, a 1 to a 3, don't matter. But he knows about what that is. The submissive thing is always going to be attractive to a man. You all really have changed in the last 50 years. That's just the truth. Again, gloves off, that's just the truth. You guys have changed tremendously. Now a guy has to, whatever. I don't want to hold on. I want to hear your thoughts, Trina.
Okay, I will agree with you that women have changed tremendously, but I think that change comes now that we are more financially stable. Back in the day, you kind of had to be reliant on a guy, so you had to take whatever that was coming your way, because also your father was looking for somebody to come and take you off his hands. So, I mean, I feel like he was incentivized to just give you up to somebody who was going to be financially stable. Now that we as women are making money, like, I get it. Now, to me, when I'm looking for a guy, looks is not at the top of my list, but I need somebody I'm attracted to too. Nah. So I need somebody clean. You know, if he's just going to be the scruffy, I don't think I can deal with the scruffy and dirty guy just as is. But I will say, I want somebody attractive. Okay. I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. Wait. I will also say that I do agree with y'all. Women are unrealistic in their expectations. Like, you'll have a woman who's completely and totally out of shape. But we've been hearing this since we were kids. You want the guy who's 6 foot tall, especially from a Black woman. You 6 foot tall, dark, and handsome. So they've been feeding us this in our subconscious since we were little girls. So you have all these women that are going for just that specific type of man. And unfortunately, that type of man usually don't want them, or he's out playing with everybody else, and you too. So
normally, this is my thought on the 80-20. When I first saw the movie, it made sense to me. But I was in my early 20s or late 20s. So it made sense to me, it just sound good, because at that age, I was still saying, oh, I need to do all of this and give everything for a woman. But a lot of men, you think about it, if we are sharing everything we have with you, all our resources, all our time, everything with us, and really, we're giving you 100%. Because if we're giving you our loyalty and the things that matter the most to us, which is our time and our resources, you know what I'm saying? And all of that. And then you got to think about it. We live in a time, I'm sorry, but a lot of women today that haven't been married are bringing another man's seed, which is another thing that's important to us, our legacy. So things, the 80-20 thing for me, I feel like when somebody come talking the 80-20 thing to me, I'm like, we're not even getting 60. When you really think about it, because you say you got the job, you got career, but think about it, men such as myself, I could care less about any of that. Because if you're not giving me my physical attraction, you're not submissive, cooperative, and the last thing, which nobody touched on, some of you are too masculine. You are so masculine to I feel like I'm talking to another football player, which ain't so bad when we watching football together, but I don't want you saying bro to me, and we both, you know, we don't want that. And I think the time has changed, because with you saying we can lead, we can do a thing on our own, I think it's a masculine aspect that you have taken on that makes us feel like, man, we're not even getting this 20, because part of that 20, I always said, is what we saw initially. You have to make us see that you got the other 80 for us anyway, because I don't want 80, I want 100. If I'm giving 100, you're going to give me 100. That's what I want.
D, how did you take from that I said that now that we make money, that we're taking a
speaking in general when I say
okay, all right. Now, the thing about it is, I think people need to understand every woman is not going to get married. So, to me, everyone, woman and man, needs to be financially stable. All right. Because I can't just sit my, like, you have daughters and stuff like that who stay at home with their parents. They never go out and buy a house because they're thinking to themselves, oh, you know, I want to wait until my husband comes. He may never come. You can still build something. All right. I'm listening.
No, I said pause because you said he may never come. That's a super
pause.
Okay. But I'm saying, you know what I mean? He may never come. So you need to be able to put yourself in a position where you can live well and do different things. I'm a proponent of marriage and stuff like that. But if If that's not going to be my lot, I'm still going to enjoy my life. And the whole money dynamics, to be honest with you, I get what people are saying about the Bible, and I know that man was a financial person, but I feel like a lot of times when the man makes the money, sometimes their attitude like, oh, this is my money, or you feel like a certain type of way, like it's a power dynamics. That's why I think grandmas back in the day stayed with grandpa and dealt with a bunch of stuff that a financially woman like me, financially stable, I'm not going to deal with that because I don't have to. I'm not reliant on you to pay my bills.
Go ahead. Hold on. Go ahead. I'll let you go, Chris.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, I know you want to listen. So, okay, so even if I jump in right there, you think God was more pleased with your grandmother staying with grandpa, or you saying, oh, I ain't got to deal with that? Which one you think would please the Father the most? That's the first question I want to ask you.
Okay, if they are married, because God wants us to honor the vows, I see it as that. But if I am single and we're dating and we're just in our dating process, you do something and I don't get married, I'm not tied to the standards of having to stay with the guy and please God like that.
I don't believe that, because again, you're right. I did agree there that man was given the obligation of work. When I go back just a generation or two, my great uncles and so forth, they were able to work one job, buy a house, 2 cars, and take care of 15 children. It is a plan of the enemy to get the woman to think that she should be working and to get her, because it places you in I hate to say it, it places you in a masculine frame. I can do it all on my own. Women were not designed to be independent. This is proven even outside of the Bible. So we can go back and forth to the Bible and then just look at the way we are created. And women are the social of the two. You guys require community. And so, a lot of times I hear even Christian women saying single and content. How could you be single and content? Your objectives, and I think it turns into a cop out, because then you got women who say, hey, I'm comfortable. I just do my own thing. And wait a minute. So now you're not placing yourself in that feminine energy to where a man will be attracted to you. The submissiveness, the femininity, right? The cooperation, right? The support. The things that a lot of women say that they want now is what a man should want. And then they say, well, I gotta be masculine at work and this kind of thing. Again, I don't believe that that's God at all. I think that was done very intentional for several reasons. Of course, the tax bracket to get you guys out the home, not taking care of children, busting it up. I do think that there's layers to that, but none of it is good. So
I'm gonna let Dwayne go first, and then I'm gonna let you go, Trina. Then we
Yeah, there's a very, very, very here. I like to focus in it, and Dee's seen some of my material. I try, but I put the truths in there. And one of the things that I always put out there is that so many people in decades, there's nothing new under the sun. We say little sayings, and that's one of the number one sayings. Well, if that be the case, and we're now fast forward to 2022, then the Adam and Eve serpent in the garden dynamic, somewhere in the spiritual, it's still here. If there's nothing new under the sun. So the point, since Trina brought out the point, y'all probably didn't even realize you brought it out. At the end of the day, what you're acknowledging is that the serpent or the Antichrist spirit, the way that the woman is advertised to so much, being single and you got all this great money, but you're spending it on vacations and you're posting on every few seconds, or you're married and he going to work doing all that work until he get into all these Christmas lists and everything else. Everything is advertised to the woman, that number one consumer, in your spirit and in the natural. So now her mind was open. What did she do? She immediately ran and opened up Adam's mind. These commercials, these holidays, all this paganistic foolishness, people should be saving right now, because you don't have any idea what's coming in the next few months to the next year. Everybody's going to fall in line with the advertisement advertisements of that is the holiday seasons, as they say. You get the idea from the serpent or social media, you run right to your man, you run right to your children. And that's how you were sowing over purpose. And that's what I like what Chris is bringing out, because he's talking about versus the American dream, or even real marriage versus corporate mergers is what I like. Is a counter. There's always going to be an antichrist or a counterfeit or what's supposed to be happening. And the counterfeits always take your protection away, because in Genesis 3, God, when he laid out those curses and all that, there would be enmity between you and the serpent. In other words, between you and the enemy, there's always, so he's going to make sure you fight your man. And that's where I come in with you're not qualified to be a wife, you're going to act like you've always known to act, like a sister. Those are the things that we have to deal with by the time we get you behind closed doors.
I gotta stump in. Nancy asks, are we discounting the example of the woman in Proverbs 31?
Ooh.
Chris, go.
They have no idea.
Oh, Nancy, I think you probably messed up right there. That's a great example of a woman, because I think it's possible, but it has to do with our culture and how we're taught. Because if you ask a woman, one of the first things she wants, obviously a man's role is to protect and provide. Or if you're providing for yourself, then it puts you in a masculine frame of not needing a man. And even TD Jakes, with all his Woman That Are Loose conferences that he's now passed on, whatever, he said, man, if you don't have a need for a man, you better create one, because that's the only way it's going to work. And I was really amazed that he said that. But if you want to talk about Proverbs 31, you can start at, well, first of all, she told her son, don't give your power to a woman. You can't skate past that and love the fact that she was working. He said, don't give your power. And there's a certain power that comes with this independence. I ain't got to take this. I ain't got to do this. A woman has to be under. And I don't think you want me to start pulling out the examples where the Bible said.
He's trying to kill us.
I want you to do it.
The Bible says, where the Bible says a man is supposed to rule his home. And then Proverbs 31, if you look at that lady, last thing, I'll call it the she fruit. Because when you look at Proverbs 31, you'll see the woman did. Just go on down. You don't even have to read all of what she did. The woman, she. But then you get to the end of the chapter, and his name was made great. The thing she did made his name great. It wasn't like she was doing this for her own clout, my own desire. God put me here to do this, because a woman's first assignment in the earth realm is to help a man.
Trina, go. I know. Go, sweetheart.
Now, I will say, just because I am financially stable, that does not mean I do not need a man. I just don't need the finance. And I this is a stretch, but I'm going to say it anyway. I feel like with blacks and whites, there's a power dynamic with money. Okay. That's when it comes down to slavery and all that stuff. I don't like the money dynamics as far as a woman is being highly reliant, because we have this over independence of these hyper independent women. But keep in mind, it was the women from the 50s and 60s who told us, hey, because they had to deal with grandpa paying all the bills. And for some reason, they didn't like the way they were being treated. So they were the one who started telling their daughters, hey, get in college. Hey, get some money. Whatever. And we love to say as men that what is supposed to be for a woman as far as rulership. But if you're going to be my husband, you're supposed to love me like Christ loved the church. God is gentle with us. There's a softness that comes with him being with us. But these guys that come in, I feel like, especially guys from the church, they have a PhD in what it means for a woman to submit to a man, but they struggling in the GED classes of what it meant when it says to love your wife like Christ loved the church.
They bubbling. I'm gonna let they bubbling. We got to move though. We can come back to that. If you gonna be quick, I'll give you a minute. Go. Ant.
No, you know what? You good, because I was gonna ask Trina.
I'll be 1 minute.
What is she?
Uh-oh.
Okay,
I think somebody joined. Hold on. We got visitors.
Trina, Listen, I think it's just the reverse. I think that the women don't know what that means. It said the Bible says love a woman as Christ loved the church, because I hear that all the time, which is true. But we got to evaluate logically how he loved the church. And one thing I guarantee you wasn't doing was letting us have our way and try to make us happy. The first thing you do if you love something is you protect, you provide boundaries. God said, you go back in Exodus, he said, you're going to be my people and I'll be your God. Let me give you parameters. These are how many laws he gave Moses back then. He been giving laws ever since. You have a child, guess what you're going to try to do? Parameters. Yeah, you can't sleep in everybody's house. You can't go to everybody's party. You can't smoke this. You can't watch that. You can't do this. You got to be in by this time. You're going to start putting, but if you don't care, you can let them. So the same is true for a man. If he cares, that's why the first time, if he really starts having any real genuine love and concern for a woman, he's going to say, hey, babe, take that off.
Yes.
Hey, babe, be in a time. Hey, babe, these friends that you got. Hey, babe, what you watching? Hey, let's work on our weight, whatever. Because now he's got to start managing and controlling, putting boundaries on those things.
Now, wait, hold on, be quick. Now, I get what you're saying, where he's trying to manage and start putting boundaries on that. But I see now, from what I'm seeing with the women that I hang with, the women seem to be the one that have themselves together. It's the men that are in their 40s borrowing $20 and not having their stuff together. So women, we can't, because y'all love to tell us it's more of us out here than it is of y'all. Okay. And first off, I did the research of that. The ratio of men to women is not as big as we're trying to make it. It's not like it's 10. It's not that big. Okay. But even with them being, well, there's more of you guys than us. When you go and look at the ones who don't have themselves together, like I know right now, if I was to call out and say to, if you were to say, hey, introduce me to a homegirl that you think is a good partner, I got a homegirl right now that I can introduce. Many guys, if you go up to them and you see them in you see them with their friends, you'd be like, hey, which one of these guys is worthy or whatever. The guys would be like, nah, I want to put you in the, because men be knowing that some of that group ain't no good.
I'm going mosey on by that one. let's move on. Because it could get real tricky on that one. I think I hear what you're saying, Trina, but the ratio is not high. But when you start to think about, take away homosexual men, take away eligible men of eligible age, take away men that of a certain stature, that ratio starts to go really, really, really high. Because women, you don't have to bring much. You don't have to really, most men don't care about that. Believe it or not, we don't care about your finances. The Pookies and Ray Rays, they care because they want to lay on your couch and play Madden. But me personally, especially where I'm at right now, I could care less about your money. I really could. And the men, and you got to think about it, those men, the ratio between those men, you talking like 1 to 20 with those men, because they got everything that you want, that you see. Now, the other things you got to find out about if they're a good husband, if they're responsible or whatever, all that loyal. You learn that, but the things that you see, the things that attract you, what you see with your eyes, the things that Eve saw, we don't go that deep. But when you start to look at those things, that ratio ain't that high. It really ain't. But I get what you were saying. I think going back to what we was talking about, what men desire, what women desire, I think that's the one thing that we haven't gotten together. We don't know. Men, believe it or not, most men that I know, we do know, because it's everywhere. We can't go nowhere without seeing it. But there has not been not one male-dominated situation where men are actually talking about what we want. And so if we was to ask most women, you saying we don't know, you have to get to know them. And I believe it in that. But we know off rip what you guys desire. Believe it or not, we know off rip. Most men, especially eligible men, the men that you would want, we know exactly what you desire from us. We know. But when it's kind of frustrating to men when we ask you, well, what do you think I want? And what are the things you prepared to give me in this relationship? And then you come giving us all this emotional stuff. You know what I'm saying? Now we like, what? That's not our thing. But I got to ask you this question. Can you honestly say, moving on to the cheating part, which is the good part, can you honestly say in every relationship that you've been in over the last, we can even go over the last few, did you give them everything that you thought that they desired? Did you do your part in it?
I sincerely did. And I stopped, but let me tell you my downfall. When I felt like the relationship was one-sided, I stopped and I just didn't care no more. Now, at the beginning, I am a person who cares about people. I will put even if I don't want to do something, if you want to do it, I'll do it because that makes you happy. And I sincerely, like, even guys that I've dated in the past, I'll write on a notepad the stuff that they like. And I read that notepad constantly, so I stay on top of that. And I'm trying. But again, I'm a human, so that goes my 80-20. I might be at the 80 pinnacle, but guys will mess you up over 20. At least the ones that I've been dealing with. So
okay, we got a new guest on. Keisha, can you hear me? Are you good? We can't hear you, baby. You got okay. This is what you need to do. When you log on, it's going to ask you, do you want to use that mic? Are you pressing that? I heard you before. Oh, wait, hold on. Try something now. Say. Talk to us.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Welcome.
Hello?
Hi.
Welcome. Hi.
Can you hear us? We still having connection issues. We still have she's locking. Huh? Yeah, you hear me. Are you on Wi-Fi or are you on Ethernet? Ethernet is better, people. If you I'm looking at your signal. Hold on a second. Yeah, it's giving me low readings on you. 1 second. Hold on. So let me move on to Dwayne. Did you give everything in your relationship? Can you honestly say that you gave everything that you could in that relationship? Did you give her what you felt she desired?
I don't believe I did, and this is why. So I'm gonna just speak from my perspective. It's easy in a man who didn't have his father, and you have that pressure. And I didn't have my mother. The grandparents stepped up, and that's how I got raised up, obviously in church. So you get that other generation that Trina was talking about. So everything that my people were not for me, that they, locked up, my father, off to the Marines, they didn't find out about me. When he did, he didn't really believe it because he had to find out why he was gone. So when everything happened, now here you got a full-grown man getting, and yeah, I knew to go to work. I knew, that I was ready to run through a wall for this person over and over and over again. It was my job to study her, to know what I was planning. And I think a lot of times that's where we drop the ball. I'll fess up for that. That person, because it takes more than just laying down in the bed and penetrating. You go naturally. You got to be doing spiritually too. So it mirrors each other, and I think I needed work to understand. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna try to do what my parents. I gotta know her, because as a king, you gotta know how to reach your people, and so to speak. Mm-hmm. You gotta know their needs. You gotta know when to go full and make, but then you gotta also know when to have the compassion, because you are the one that's planting the seeds, and you're going to put out. So that's where I believe I failed.
Okay, Chris.
Yeah, I think that unfortunately a lot of this was not known in terms of roles. We weren't discussing it like that back then. So it would have helped me tremendously to kind of set the tone early on, because by the time, Kevin Samuels helped, but even before that, just more recently, we've kind of been having a lot more of the conversations of what a man should be doing, what is his responsibility from the biblical perspective. I think that would have been really helpful. I gave 100% of what I knew. Honestly, I didn't have the right perspectives, because at the same time, Trina, as you said, while you're trained, and again, I'm not being offensive. Well, it might be offensive, but I'm not trying to be. But while women were trained to be masculine, men were trained to be passive. I was trained to just give a woman whatever she won't be passing. Y'all going out to eat. Well, baby, what you want to go to eat? Okay, you want to go here? You want some new shoes? Okay, do everything. Buy the new shoes. Sometimes you gotta say no shoes. Well, we're gonna get some shoes, or guess what? This we're gonna do. We're gonna put $10 up here. We're not gonna go out there tonight. And we go and plan and lead her in that kind of a way. And I wasn't taught that. Some of the pivotal decisions that I made, honestly, I look back on and said, man, I knew what to do. I knew we shouldn't have moved here. I knew we shouldn't have went there. I knew we shouldn't have spent that. I know it was the wrong time for that. But I was taught, make her happy, whatever she want. Your happy wife, happy life. That's what I was taught. And nothing is further from the truth. A woman needs a man to say no. Period. She needs a woman who's, of course, going to love. You show love, and that's fine. But love, and I, when we have time, we'll get back to Nancy and Trina. These, about how God loved the church, what He did, what that looks like.
We're gonna definitely get there.
Okay, so we'll get back there. But yeah, so I gave her what I knew, but I honestly just did not know a lot. Unfortunately, even being raised in the church, I didn't know a lot.
I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna be really quick. I felt like I was giving them everything they wanted, but I wasn't, because I have nothing. I really had nothing to give but my emotional support. Men supposed to provide. We supposed to protect. I'm a musician out here trying to make money, and I wasn't making no money. So I couldn't do what I needed to do as a man. So whereas I desired to do it, my desire to do it was there, I did not fulfill my role as a man. And it really, looking back, yeah, she never really respected me in that regard. And I didn't deserve respect. She respected me enough. It was good times, but what I'm saying is, as a man, I couldn't come up in there and be like, as a man in the house. We all want a woman to be submissive, and I hate conditional femininity, but at the end of the day, I really didn't do what I was supposed to do. I didn't give her what she desired. And I didn't even give her what she needed. Because what you desire and what you need, those two things are not mutually exclusive. You see what I'm saying? So I was failing in so many ways. And I had a father, and I knew better. But sometimes you grow up and you think you know everything as a young man growing up. And like I said, musicians, we could be our own downside, because we see the lights and the glamour being on stage, and we think that's going to lead to something that can raise a good family, and it usually doesn't. It usually does not. We need to get out here. I'm not talking about musicians that's out here making this paper. I'm talking about musicians that's here and here playing these low little $25 gigs. You can't do nothing with that. And a woman that making money, and honestly, the women that I've dealt with, some of them got degrees and everything else under the sun. There was no way that woman was going to respect me in that regard. So no, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And be honest, as a young man, I really didn't do the other things. Because that testosterone, that thing is a real, that thing is a real thing. So I think that's important. The reason why I asked this question is because it's leading me to the next questions, which is, we'll start with Trina. Why do you think women cheat? Why do women cheat? I asked Trina this. She's the lady, and I'm hoping that another lady, we need one, or Keisha can get her Wi-Fi situation. I would hope that, don't do Wi-Fi, sweetheart. You got to go. Yeah, it's not gonna work too well here. Okay, go ahead, Trina. Why do women cheat?
Why do women cheat? First off, I have to put a disclaimer. I have never cheated in any relationship that I ever been on, but I've been around cheaters before. I think women cheat to get needs met when their man is ignoring them. And I hate to say it, because I feel like as women, we gonna talk and talk and talk until we're blue in the face. And then when we just check out, we may not be ready to accept that we're going to have to go and file for divorce or end the relationship, or now I'm gonna be with the kids, because a lot of times when a woman leaves a relationship, she's the one who gets the kids and stuff like that. So it might
That's
just
a whole nother live. We can come back on that. That's a whole nother live.
We know it's a whole bunch of single mamas out here now. Now wait a minute. Now wait to your comment. Even when you said talk about the situation with the kids, a lot of men will say that woman took the kids from me when they willingly gave them up, because
they didn't have a choice.
But
we ain't gonna.
Well, why don't we fight that?
How do you willingly?
Get a lawyer and fight that war for your
let's
kids.
not go there tonight. We'll come back to that because it's gonna get real ugly for you. It's gonna get real ugly. I'll try to keep this thing PG tonight because it was about to be one of those situations where you're just gonna be like, "What? Finish him." It was gonna be what?
But
let's not go there tonight. But you said women cheat
cheat
because of
to
what?
get-
So you saying basically a woman cheats because dig deeper. Because we
But
trying
when
to
I'm
see.
saying to get an email, and we're going to talk about sexuality, first off, I feel like there's a payoff for a man if he cheats. If his woman is not home and he go and find another woman to cheat, he can at least get a release. A woman can go and lay with 20 men and never get a release. So it's like, to me, to go out there and put my body in a situation where this may not be nothing. Because when you go and sleep with somebody as a woman, I don't know if he's going to be good in bed or whatever. You're bringing that part as a part of it. But
Look, I'm just gonna go ahead and show my arms.
Something else.
I'm gonna go show my arms on that one.
Okay.
Go ahead, baby. I'm just messing with you.
No, but I'm saying, I feel like a man, there's gonna be like a payoff. A woman, if a man finds a woman to lay with, 9 times out of 10, he's gonna get some type of release or some type of peace or something like that. For me, as a woman, I feel like you're going out there. If I'm risking this relationship, is because I feel like this relationship, if it falls apart, it's already falling apart. So it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm gonna let Anthony go first because I know Chris gonna bring the pain. He got a look on his face like.
This is why I say the little sister. And I have twin girls, and I always tell the Joe, one time, many times, I see how my little girls can have to have sidebar conversations with them to make them understand the lady's going all space. So just deal with it for the rest of your life. It's going to happen. When it comes to that woman, for the most part, it goes back again to the beginning. This is why I always say you can't cheat nothing but a test. We keep using this word. For me, it's a victim mentality type thing. I want to be able to cheated on me. Somebody hurt me, this, that, and other. When for the most part, I absolutely believe that. Different reasons. I believe women do it because, they have given them I'm going to be queen of petty. I feel this didn't happen for me. I'm just going to do. Why the scriptures talk about how they can bring things down, a whole house with their hands. Logic don't be there to really think about what's being done. You talk about Chris talked about in the Proverbs 31 woman, how it talked about the name. Once you go from your father's name to your husband's name, I'm going to talk, because if you just dating out here in the pool playing, I'm not going to even in it. But if you're married, and that's the only way that I might accept that word, out of covetous situation, you had to close your ears to your Lord to open it to somebody else. And now you're talking about what a womb. And that spiritually and naturally, somebody is placing something, and now they begin their legacy in you, whether you like it or not. And they had to get their game on you to pull you away. And so once you're all over the place, now you just self-sabotage like a mom. It's a whole different dynamic between versus the woman versus the man for that very.
That was a lot to unpack though. But I'm gonna move on to Chris before I bring it back around to you, Trina. Go ahead, Chris.
I think, I disagree that women cheat for the same reasons that a man does, but I think that a woman has this notion that she is the prize, and that's just not true. That has never been true, and it will never be true. I know it's very fantasizing for a woman to think that while a man needs a woman, she needs him more. It's just the way it's designed, and so I said that because if she thinks she's the prize, then she's going to be thinking that he should be doing everything for her. That's not the case. As a matter of fact, when a man does a lot for a woman, he gets very little. He gets her a house, she wants another one. He takes her on vacation to Mexico, now she wants to go to Paris. And then if the ring, oh, that was cool, but it's time to upgrade 10 months later. It just is your nature. But when you do that for a man, you typically get a whole lot more. When you start being submissive and supporting him and encouraging him and stroking the ego, there's nothing new, right? And doing these kinds of things, you typically get a lot better results. Oh, baby, you want a skyscraper? No, not a problem. You want me to reinvent the atomic bomb? Okay, I'll get in there and do it. Because when you do that for a man, you know what I'm saying? You get far better results. So I think a woman cheats because a lot of times her perspective is not realistic because she thinks she's the prize. So I always ask this question: if a woman cheats, does she cheat on the same level, higher, or lower? And I'm waiting for somebody to say that she cheats lower. She virtually never cheats lower. She'll stay on the same level if she has to, but she wants to go higher because a woman cheats, for one, I think she wants to prove that she can do better. She also cheats because the woman is led of her emotions. She has taken the time to evaluate, you know what? Yeah, he has been coming home late, but I know he's been out with the fellas and this kind of thing. Or I know he hasn't been making the best financial decisions or whatever, but he's still here with me. I know he's committed to me. She doesn't tap back into logic. I know he's a spiritual man and I know his feet too big, but he needs to take an extra shot, whatever the case may be, but she's not getting back over into logic. So she's being led of her emotions. I think honestly, the actual sexual urge, I think that's minimal. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, so I don't need to convince them on that. Men, we cheat again. Same
we
thing.
ain't get to the men yet. We're gonna get to the men next.
Okay, my bad. Yeah, so I think women cheat to prove that they can do better. It is very important that a woman in her mind says, I can do better than this, and just her unrealistic expectations. So
okay, now Chris, because I hear you keep saying that women have unrealistic expectations. I know so many women, and even for myself, I don't even feel like I'd be asking for much. And it's, how you guys were saying earlier that you were not.
What do you ask for?
Huh?
What do you ask for?
I want financially stable. I want faithful. He ain't even got to be all that good looking. He just need to be decent in my eyes. And I want somebody who wants to work together and build a life and a family together.
I got a question. Who has the vision? If that's what you just explained, who has the vision?
Now, when you say that, who has the vision, you'd be surprised how many times as a woman you're dating a guy and he doesn't have any direction. The woman is the one that kind of, the woman is the one who kind of spearheads a lot of things. Because if you ask these guys, they love to tell you, well, I'm in charge. When you say as a woman, okay, what's the plan? Oh, I haven't gotten that far. Well, you said you was in charge. Shouldn't you have something for us to do?
So do you think that's an automatic red flag not to follow the direction they're even going when they open up the car door and sit down in the car?
What do you mean? What'd you say?
When you talked about a relationship, and I like where you're going because there's a driver and a navigator. Once that person touches the wheel, that person is the car focus. They cannot focus on this, this, that, other. And all the stuff that Chris was talking about. Once that he's the car. So the only thing that really you can do is be a paraclete, like I said before, because you want to point out that he got to love like Christ. Well, then you're admitting one, that he's Christ. You're admitting two, that he's your Lord. You're admitting three, that he's your Savior. And we know what Ephesians 5 said. He loves. He don't hate himself. So he gonna love everything because you got his last name now, and he's trying to teach you that love. So when y'all both sit in the car, the navigator, because he's driving, he's got direction. You got vision. You even sit in the car with the person if they don't know where in the world they're going.
But I'm taking it from the men are supposed to be the heads. And I'm piggybacking off what Chris said. Chris said, I learned to be passive. I feel like there's so many men that learn to be passive instead of taking the initiative to lead. Like me, although I'm financially stable, if I met a guy and he came to me like with a solid plan, I'm gonna get behind his plan and we can work his plan. But he has to have something. I get, as a woman, I don't want to be the one who's the think tank for the entire relationship. Like, we can't move and do anything until I come up with an idea. Babe, do you have an idea?
I'm seeing a conversation that's going on and say, do women cheat down? I would say this, statistically speaking, from the conversation that I had from women, they don't. Like Chris said, they always feel like, oh, I can do better. I mean, their girlfriends always say, you can do better. I mean, you always say, you can do better, I can do better. So they probably won't cheat down. The smart ones don't. Now, there are some women that cheat down with some Pookies and Ray Rays, and then they come back to us. But no, for the most part, most of these women that I know, they always feel like they can do better. Which brings me to the next question, which is something that a lot of people don't. Okay, let me start here. We've always been taught that men cheat more than women, or that's what we've been taught. I know that's what I've been told. Statistically speaking, and this is about to blow y'all mind. Y'all ready for this? Statistically speaking, we cheat the same. In fact, women cheat more when they're younger. Women cheat more than men when they're younger. But as we start to age, that gap starts to go higher. Men that are older and more established, they tend to cheat more than women that are older and more established. Now, why is that? Because let me tell you something that y'all don't want to agree with. That dang on wall is undefeated. And as women age, they are not as desirable as they were when they were younger. And that's the truth that a lot of people want to. That's why them teaching you, go get your degrees, go get this and go get that. That's why that's not necessarily a good idea, because the older you get, for a man's SMV, that means your sexual value, your marketplace value, it does not get better when you get age. It gets worse. It goes down. So men, let's answer this question. Now that we put that out, that go look this up. Don't take my word for it. I know it kind of sent the rumbling in your stomach. I'm sorry. But it happens, okay? But men, I'll start with the men. Why do you, not you, but why do men cheat? Why do men cheat? First of all, let me say, we don't condone cheating over here. We don't. Let's just get that out the way. All right? Nobody's going to talk about their own personal life. We just giving our opinions, okay? All right, go ahead, Chris. You go first on this one.
I'll be perfectly honest. Most of the time a man cheats is purely sexual. A man will cheat and still come home, pay all the bills, and take care of the children, and take them to do everything he had to do. Most of the time, it's sexual. A lot of times, a woman's not giving it up, as you said. As I think Dwayne, you said that. Anthony, you said that. You would get everything was perfect early on, but then I'm sorry, that was the clip you showed at first, Derek, with the guy from Crew Season. He was saying that, hey, everything, sex was coming, but then the commitment came, and then now all of a sudden it's a manipulation tactic. Now I just give it to him when he earns it, and this kind of stuff. And when a man's drive, hey, when that release needs to happen, it needs to happen. I'll just be perfectly honest with you. So I think primarily it's sexual. And I said it couldn't be some petty stuff because he was being petty, he was trying to pay me back. That could happen. Primarily it's sexual.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Anthony. I'm gonna let Trina go last since I let her go first.
Okay. I'm looking at Nancy. I believe that men step out, that many are quick to start another family if they go through divorce. About the children automatically, or we just giving them up. A lot of times, not the case. Control has been taken away, and so for me, I believe that more often they step out in any capacity because they're trying to get some control back. You have conversations, as Dee was mentioning earlier. Now you know about where men are starting their voices, so to speak. Well, in that same token, they're talking about sex, whereas the scriptures itself say you shouldn't defraud your spouse in the bedroom. Rebellion. I lost my train of thought earlier, but it has to be said, because for me, I personally think I think there's other ways that you can step out. And sometimes it's not limited to just going out, especially for a woman, because you are an open antenna and receiver. Your ear for the impressions that D was talking about, whether it's from your girls, you can do better, girl. They don't like this sucker, whatever the case may be. These are the reasons why men ain't getting nothing from you. You lying. You're not on your period, but you lying. Here, this ain't done. House ain't claimed. All these different things that you can point out. It slipped to the point where you sending a man to work. I ain't gonna make you no lunch. I'm mad today. And I've had an aunt really admit that to me and tell me a story about how she called herself uncle, and she said the Holy Spirit told her, now how goofy do you look? And somebody gonna see him eating, and they gonna try to audition their food for him. And she never did that mess again. That she was able to admit that. But these little things, and I'm saying, he said earlier that there are levels to this. And I believe that with men, yes, those levels. And so if you're not giving us your ear and your submission and different things and we got to put sometimes 70, 80% of our time, a la at work all the time. You're brushing shoulders with people that see you grinding. I believe in love at first sight. I believe in love at first due, because when people see a man doing, they love that. Somebody's auditioning, giving an ear, all these different things that he's not getting at home. And it opens up a level. Now he's laid with the person or emotionally open up to a person. And I think that's why they're about to gain some sort of sense of control. They ain't getting it home, so they're going to get it where someone else's ear to be in their student, the way I've explained.
That's good. Trina, tell me why you think men step out.
I think men have been given a pass to just be greedy. That's just
Lord Jesus.
Flat out. Now let me wait. Let me explain. Let me explain. First off, from a biblical standpoint, it said that God, although Adam had many more ribs, God gave him just Eve. It didn't say he took a rib from the left side and a rib from the right side and gave him a whole bunch of women. He also gave men self-control. I think culturally it's more acceptable for a man to cheat, because if a man cheats on a woman, 9 out of 10 women stay. If a woman cheats on a man, I believe that number is way lower of the men that are going to stay. So it's a sexuality thing. And for what he was saying for earlier, okay, she's not giving me what I want. Men have to understand that we as women do not get everything that we want. And I'm not trying to create, so I don't want you to start with that old equality thing. I'm just saying there's things that is going on with the woman that she's not getting from her man. So he brought up the situation, well, if the house is not clean, well, listen, in today's time, in order for us to not stay in the ghetto, and with the finances of men, a lot of women have to work. If I have gone to work and then the expectation is I'm going to come home and cook and clean, and I've also had to look after the children while you got to come home and go in your man cave, I'm going to be tired. Can you help me? Women, sex is mental for us. And I have seen so many situations where women walked away from the relationship, even when the guy cheated, and be like, you know what, I felt like I had to do everything. So I just left him alone so I can have some peace. Or whatever. I don't know. I guess it's just like I know it's sex, but I feel like a lot of times the partner that's cheating is actually the weaker partner in the relationship.
Anybody want that? I'm trying.
Well, I just want to point out something, and I know Chris said that we 22, but we are politically correct and we use the proper words. We marriage adultery. Now, biblically, adultery for a man is to be so, now that's greedy. So greedy and so something so demonic down. It is down in you that you step out of yours to go get the property of another man. You committed murder because you're trying to cover up something else. That's what adultery was for men. You had options. So, and then when we throw these words like king and queen around, you don't know what you're saying. You don't know the power of what's coming out of your mouth. And that tongue has options, and he's touched by everybody. His purpose is all, if he's a mogul, whatever he is, on his movement, he's going to touch people. And if you are the companion that is disgruntled because he's always getting this attention, a la Stephen Curry, then these is where the issues come in at, because you don't even have. So when it comes down to it, adultery with the woman, because Allah, the woman at the well, the adulterous woman at the place, it was a word connected to her because anybody she said was adultery. But for a man, it was only if he took another man's wife. And that goes back to one of the closers is not coveting your neighbor's property. That opinion, from what I can see from my point of view, it was talking to the head of homes, the Lord. That's why it talked like it talk about not coveting property. And then the first thing it names in the property is so for a man in marriage, what a woman is to him is for a woman is two totally different things. But in today, we keep playing with this equality word. Equality, once you step into real marriage, there are roles, and the Holy Spirit, in the name of Christ, and moved out and did the will, therefore not returning it to him. But y'all want to hyphen names. Y'all don't want to take names. Y'all want to keep your daddy's name. Y'all want to, the things attached to your name, a la Tia Maury, who's getting the divorce right now. It's too stuff in the house.
I wasn't going to talk about
and
her.
That's why folks step out.
The way the type of marriage that you describe it is like, why would a woman even want to be married?
Y'all too
indoctrinated. Like all that, if you coming into a relationship, you just there to just please a man only. I can't do it.
You actually took that to the far extreme, and I don't
Surely
really think it was that. But I'm here to go ahead, Chris, because I gotta change my clothes. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's the thing. So I think that a lot of what you just said, Dwayne, was true, but I'll say this too. I think that just listening to you, it's almost like you guys have a handbook, Trina. I'll be honest. I mean, these same tropes, I hear them all the time. And just like right now, you're making it seem like slavery and all like this. You can say if you know anything about our, 2 and 3 generations down the other way, they were far more fulfilled. They were far more content and happy with life. Now, they didn't have a lot of material possessions, but they loved life, and they left here feeling like their work was accomplished. Now you guys earn more money, but you don't feel accomplished. You don't feel satisfied, and you can't keep a man. I'm just being honest with you. But I think it's because I try to stay away from. I got to go here. If we look at Genesis 2, I have to do this to you, Trina. Genesis 2, and we look at verse. I'm gonna be real quick. Where'd it go? Oh, verse 18. So 2 and 18. It said, and the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone all to himself. So it's clear, man needs a woman, but I will make an help meet for him. Now, we have always looked at that as being a help meet as like a person. And I'm not saying that that's not true, but those two words don't go together in the Hebrew. Don't take my word for it. Look at it. Look at it on your own time. He made a help, right? An aid, an assistant, a support system. And that word meet is suitable, proper, fitting, appropriate. He made a helper that is proper and suitable for him. He didn't make a helper for her. He made her for him, and that's reiterated in where did it go? 1 Corinthians 11:8. It says, "For the man is not of the woman, but the woman is of the man." And this is a real doozy. "Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man." Now, we can't take all Paul's other stuff about the Holy Spirit and about love, 1 Corinthians 13, or whatever, and then not take this part. You got your primary purpose for being sent to the earth realm was for a man. But if you think it was to be loved, and my desires, it's going to be, again, we're going to go down the wrong way.
Well, why do you think God created us like this? No, I meant if we're only supposed to be made, because it seems like women and men cannot get along. So why do you think that God created us like that? It's like, God, when you made it, could you just have made her just hush?
See, I need to put my referee shirt on because this is getting kind of.
Yeah, well, here's the thing: when a man is operating in his masculine, she will hush. A man, and this is not going to be popular, a man has to rule his wife. And that does not look like, baby, what you want, how you feel, where you want to. My life is here for you. Happy spouse, happy life, all that old crazy stuff. It is, this is what it is, and this is the way we're going to be. And that actually helps to settle a woman's emotion and put her in a state of being fulfilled by setting the vision, by leading, by protecting. It's not like saying we get a trophy by saying that, we're the leaders. It's really more about being accountable and being responsible to the woman. Right.
Well, do you think that a lot of men are in that place? Because you said yourself earlier, men have been raised to be passive.
Right. That's why we have that's why I'm not necessarily knocking women. It's the ideology. It's what we have been taught, particularly the last 50, 60 years, but it's way wrong. So that's what I'm telling you about you. But I say the same thing about a man. Yeah, we're taught to be passive. We're taught to make everything about you all, and it will never work. It will work best when we know about Queen Esther, right? You ever heard about her?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've never heard a pastor in the quote unquote Christian church teach I'm not saying they haven't, but it's not popular. He gave her one chance. He said, "Hey, come meet me over here." And he actually liked Vashti. He actually liked her, but because she didn't come, he gave her one chance. "Are you not coming?" Got with the council. They said, "Hey, listen, you don't obey." What did I say wrong? Oh, yeah. But yeah, he gave her one chance. I thought he gave her 2 or 3. I reread it. You can read it on your own time. He gave her one chance. He said, "You didn't come. Get out of here. I'll find somebody better." And God blessed her. God blessed him with Esther. You have to, and then later in that chapter, the last part of the verse says, because a man has to bear down rule in his home. He gave us the key, but we have to know we have to do that. And that doesn't look like appeasing and trying to, quote unquote, making the woman happy, how we have been taught.
But I also will say that I think if more guys took the leadership role and weren't passive, I think that this phenomenon of the independent woman would subside, because we love to say that women are independent and all these women are independent, but so many of us got pushed here because we couldn't count on our men. And I know some of them, like even when y'all love to go to say about the epidemic where the women started taking the check, what was so bad in the house with you that she would rather have you out of the house and just take the check?
Let me answer that.
That was a real
extensive research on
that was
this
a
on
real
many
spirit
different
down.
Let me take this one. What happened was, you got to remember, those women that were making that decisions weren't even women themselves. They were more likely teenagers, and they were being pressed by women who were older than them, that came from that generation that you said was like, "Oh, go get your money, go get this, and go get this." The daughter veered from that program by getting pregnant at a young age, and they decided to bring these children into the world and decided that they didn't need these men, so we're going to take this money over the men. That's what happened. And then now we're so far ahead. We got, like I said, you said if the men did that, that's that conditional femininity again. If men did this, if the men did this, not you, but a lot of these women, now that you have the taste of power, we are the only demographic in this country that's led by our women.
Facts.
You think they are
Facts.
going to want to give that up? No, they're not. You want to know why? Because if you look at the news media today, look at the most popular politicians in our community, right? Look at the most powerful politicians. Are they men or are they women?
Well, is it because our men are choosing not to run? I mean,
We got plenty of men running. We have more senators. We have all these representatives. But when you see our politicians, they're pushing Stacey Abrams. They're pushing that other the vice president chick now and all these other women. And when Biden won, you know who he said was the backbone of our community? He didn't say the men. He said the women. That's what he said. So you really think that they're going to give this power up? Ma'am, no, they are not.
Well, what I'm talking about, me for my stuff, I wouldn't want to be such in a position where I have to be so independent. My financial stability is more so there if I'm being mistreated. Me and my son can be up out of here and we're gonna be good. That's more so what my financial security is for. I can't be just relying on a guy and then he done knocked me upside my head or did something that's not well.
That's the extreme case, sweetheart.
Well, I gotta be ready. We got to be also ready. We got to be also ready.
So Trina, you don't think that's war talk out the gate? You don't think that energy is felt when a man is trying to enter into something with a woman? Number one, we all got to take risk. Everything you do in your life is a risk. But it's like, you know how many times that men vouch? I've heard it through Facebook posts or whatever, TV shows that you just said. It's always, like D said, it's an if. It's an if. Because I wanted to point that out because I didn't lose. Everything is always a prelude with an if and this, that, other. It's like, baby, you got to submit it to the thought that this risk could be it. But if you start off with pushback, that you're scaring somebody that could be potentially good off. Mind you, we got to come in the door studying. You said what now?
I'm asking, how is that a pushback? All I'm saying is I need to be in a position, because the last thing a woman wants to do is be in a position where you need to leave and then you don't have no money. So I'm saying that just in case, or God forbid, you could be in a relationship with this great guy. This guy passes on. I don't know. I feel like everybody should come in able to take care of themselves, at least from a financial standpoint.
So that goes back into the protection that D and Chris was talking about earlier. You guys don't want parameters. You think it's punishment. You wanted to beat me up, but come down on me because of what I said. I also taught this of studying who this woman is, because like I told somebody the other day, if I to compliment me, not compete with me, compliment me, harmony with me, is the person that I'm going to teach the game the way Christ taught the game before he was captured and put on the cross and suffered through the foolishness that he. Before all that happened, what was he found doing? Sitting around the table with his love. He chose because he left the burden on them. They were in his curriculum. As Chris, any of us, if we are punching clocks every day, going out, doing our purpose, but do you have the game should we die? You shouldn't have to put that pressure on yourself if you actually submit it under my teaching. Now, if I die, ain't when I'm gone because I left the game with you to lead down to my legacy. That submission to that protection is slavery, and it's not. It's order.
I don't have a problem with the order. I just feel like from what Chris is saying, from what he said earlier, so many men grew up passive and they don't know how to lead. So now I just feel like I gotta have me. And I know that's probably not. Yeah, I just gotta have me.
That's going to be to our detriment, though, Trina, because that. There you go. That's going to keep us separated and all of this. Again, I told you, I see a lot of our women saying single and content, and a woman should never be single and content. I just be honest with you. It should always be, because first of all, men or women don't typically want to leave here alone. That's just the facts. But most certainly a woman does not. And so that's again, matriarchal. We are only matriarchal culture, just like Derek said earlier. It's a very, very unfortunate. It'll never. Isaiah, I know now it's time for the Bible stuff, but Isaiah 3, it was always a curse when a woman was ruling and in power and in authority. Because this woman, if you read Isaiah 4, was one. You know what she said? Just marry me to take the shame off me. You know what? I won't just. I got my house, I got my car, the 401k looking real good. I got this, that, and third. But just take this shame off of me. And that's kind of like where we are. Honestly, you may not realize it. Even a lot of what you're saying is kind of like headed toward that way. Would you agree or no?
What do you mean? I want somebody to take the shame off me?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying like where you're saying, hey, I got my house, I got my car, I got this and this, that, or the third. So now you're saying the other way, like I could take it or leave it. A man shouldn't be an option. You said all women won't be married. Like you said, our numbers, it's not like it's 10-1. That may happen at some point, but right now our numbers are much closer. If you look at the stats of Bureau of Statistics and all of that, it's about equal. But there are a few more women than men. But again, you said all women won't get married. Well, that's because they think like you. And the other one saying single and content. I just gotta be honest with it. I gotta take the gloves off.
But I think we're saying single and content because women are communicators. So if I'm always talking to other women, when you see the relationships and what the stuff that women are complaining about, I'm like,
give us what kind of stuff? I'll give you a minute for this one.
Okay.
What kind of stuff?
They feel like they're the one who's mostly carrying everything in the relationship on top of working because he cannot afford to pay all the bills. She's carrying a lot more at the home. It is a known fact, and this can be looked up to. If I was to move into the house with a roommate, my workload is not going to go up. If a woman moves into a house with a man as a wife, her workload goes up by 7 hours, by his getting cut by 1. It's too much.
Women, what are you coming up with this?
Look,
look up the data.
And Rays that y'all like be doing that, because I don't know no man that. Listen, I understand, and I just finished having this conversation with you. Matter of fact,
yes.
I was like, I don't mind cooking. I don't mind no man on earth that's worth a dang, and I ain't gonna say the word. Y'all know where I want to go. That's worth anything. Do I even have a beep on here? I wish I had a beep on here because that would be so beautiful. But no man that was worth anything would let his woman work and then have to come home and do all the extra stuff. Men, real men, and I don't even like to say real men, I hate it, but men, mature men, right? There is no way we're going to do our part because we can't function without you. And if you're doing everything, you're going to die before everything. And our family's going to be in disarray. We're not going to let you come in from work and then, okay, now get in there and cook and clean. Really, to be honest with you, most of the men I know going to be like, babe, you working because you want to. They going to say that before anything else. You working because you want to, because you want to do that. But I'm giving you this life where the only thing, and y'all, let me flip this back. Y'all make it seem like doing house chores is like as hard as it is when we do our job. I work almost 14-hour days. I work almost 14-hour days. You would get up and do some cleaning or whatever. I got my own crib. Trust me, it ain't that hard. It is not that hard.
Okay, what happens if you with the guy? Because this is like, I've seen this happen before. You guys, he stayed in his own place, you stayed in your own place. The minute you guys move in together, it's like that guy forgets everything that he learned. It's like, hey,
I don't know where y'all mean these people at. I just don't.
Now, this has happened before, D. You act that it may not have happened before,
but I need to move on. But that's just crazy to me, because I'm sitting up here like, and I didn't even give my position on why men cheat, but I just think that right now, I think honestly that's what hurt us, because we've taken away from saying we gonna raise you to be a good wife. to raising you to be an adult. Because you don't get any quips for being able to take care of yourself. That's what adults do. But we raised you to be so caught up in your career and your money that you don't even know how to coexist with somebody else. And that's why y'all have so many problems yielding, which is what that means, to submit, yielding to a man, because you got all of this, and you feel because you got all of this, and not you, Trina, but you feel like you are here. So there can never be a man to be here and you here. We always gonna be this. And this is the battle. Right here is the battle. Because you want to be here because you've been taught, get degrees, get your money. So when he die or if he leave you, you got your own. But you look up and now you combating the man. And you saying, Chris said, we raised him to be passive. You want to know why? Because she got all of this and she said, hey, I'm the man of this house.
Now, D, we can't
I'm
be
doing
all the
Father's
blame
Day
on
where
women
I'm
now.
the father and the mother. This is where we are.
But
I gotta move on. I gotta move on. We can come back to this if we have time. But I gotta ask this. So you cheated, or the person cheated. She cheated on you, fellas, and he cheated on you. Let me ask this question. Because we've always been taught, just leave him, just leave him. We're gonna get to that question. But can a relationship ever return to square one? Can it return to that level if somebody cheats on you? I'm gonna let Anthony go first on this one.
I think it comes down to what's really down in the man. Now, I believe the way I do, and I think that you could. I think you and Chris probably could probably point I'm coming from. I really look at relations as I've gotten older, to be 41 now, and to dig into this scripture for myself. How Christ handled his disciples, how he handled several situations. On this basis, I think that it comes down to what's really in you. You really find out, and once you have that woman, you know who you are. You're moving in your purpose. You come across. You're being sharpened as you are leading her and guiding her, and now there are multiple people. It's on you. It's not just you no more. Now you truly are. Ephesians 5 said, you are the savior of the body. So you wash her, all the things Christ did for the church, and you represent her back to yourself. That for the most part, with men, going back to something Chris said earlier, at a joke that somebody I watch YouTube every once in a while, for most men, it's walk in the house and catch her with the mailman in the bed before we leave. By the time we've actually and marry you, to say that you are the one that we choose over everybody else, because like Trina said earlier, and that's why I don't agree with the backbone thing. You are, and we protect you in a way, but you protect our vitals. That rib on that's your vitals. So that's how she protects. You don't, when you show passion and that forgiveness, and then you have that conversation, getting down to the bottom of why a person, if it's salvageable, it's going to be proven in the relationship that you have with each other. They leave, they just leave. You can't do nothing about that. But it comes down to will, individual wills for God's will. And I think when you're operating in his will, love the person, you always gonna have room for some compassion. So for me, as a standpoint, I know I can forgive a transgression. And I think that it just of understanding that, like Chris talked about earlier, it's not about, it's about duty. And when you understand duty, you understand, you know, that in this, you know what I'm saying? So just like Hosea, you know, and you don't want to miss that opportunity, because it could make you actually grow closer.
Go ahead, Chris.
Well, even though men are much more loyal than women, I would Trina, don't look like that. Don't do that. That's not
You know she finna
right.
get
You
going.
already
That's why I say the best for last.
come on now, because we know once a man is in it. First of all, we can look at the divorce rates. Huh? You want to talk about that?
We can
Man,
talk
divorce
about it.
happening, man.
You don't want to do that because you just get absolutely obliterated, and that speaks to something. Generally, once a man is in it, he's in it to win it, good or bad. So it is very, very difficult. But excuse me, men are not likely to leave. But I would say that it is very difficult for us to get over that. That's something that, or maybe it's just me. But even if we look at the Bible, we see that early on, men could have multiple wives. A woman could never have multiple husbands, and that were very stiff penalties if it was proven that a woman cheated on her husband.
Still,
We don't see that in the
they
reverse.
died, bro. That's stiff. You said stiff. I said they died. That's more than
You
stiff.
know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But you don't see that in the reverse. So that speaks to something. And we know, of course, with pair bonding, the hormones that's released, a woman kind of loses the ability when she steps out. That's not true for a man. Whether we like it or whatever, a man could be with 50 different women, and we can come back and say, okay, now it's time to be committed. This is where I am. It's not the same for a woman. And so I think that, again, it can be repaired after a woman cheats, but it's not likely.
Okay.
At least for me.
I got you. Go ahead, Trina.
I think from what he was saying, if we go back and look at history and how battles were fought, because women weren't the workers back in the day, in the Bible days. So if we go back and look at history and see the way battles were fought, war was very intense. It was up close and personal and gruesome, and a lot of men died. So I feel like that's why men were given the pass to go and marry multiple wives. But also, we have to remember, with the men having multiple wives, they're supposed to be treating everybody the same. The men don't be treating everybody the same. Now, as for me, when it comes down to cheating, I'm done. I can forgive you, but I don't think I can check back into a relationship. I think it's just gonna be over, and we should just go our separate ways. And I know y'all don't like it.
I mean, no,
but because I'm financially stable, I don't feel like I have to deal with that. I don't feel like I have to deal with that because you're bringing cheating to me. As a guy, I get what y'all saying. When y'all go out there and lay with 50 men, and as a woman, I'm not going to go out there and compete with you.
We can't lay with 50 men. We can.
I mean, you know what I mean, 50 women. But as a woman, I'm not going to go out there and put myself in a position where I'm out trying to compete with you and go and lay with 50 men. I'm not doing that. No, but also the other side of the coin is I know men think when they're out there laying with 50 women, they're also picking up stuff that they're bringing back home to you, and he could potentially get your body. Mess up you and your body. No, the fact that you came home and lied, you've been lying to my face. I feel like it's not even more so the cheating. It's the lying that I got to be done with.
Okay. Let me jump in real fast, Chris, and I'm gonna turn it back to you. I think I've explained this to you. A lot of times, I think I've spoken to Chris too. I don't know if we touched on this, but I like to talk to the people that have been on my show. We actually talk, and I respect us after our talks. With me, the reason why I said, and I've forgiven women who I've never been in a relationship where a woman hasn't cheated on me, for one. Every single solitary relationship I was ever in, they stepped out. Whether they think I know or not, I know. They actually did, right? The reason why I say I can forgive, because especially, remember, I told you, I wasn't giving her everything she desired. In some instances, I kind of knew that. Because that hard head in me, she gonna do, I'm the man, she gonna do all of that. If you can come to me in a contrite way and we talk about it like adults, because it could have been something I did. Sometimes we push people into these situations. They right here on the ledge and we just kind of shove them right into it. I know it's difficult for a man because, like he said, that oxytocin is a mug. It really is. That hormone, because y'all become attached to these dudes that's slinging that log. But say, for instance, you came to me and you wanted, I would forgive you. But can it go back to square one? That's the part. We can always forgive you, but that back to square one, it cannot have that innocence. And you want to know why? Because you tainted yourself with somebody else that wasn't me. That part for me is kind of hard for me to wrap my mind around. And so even though I would try my best, because a lot of marriages do survive infidelity. And because I don't believe it's such a gray area. For example, if your man is asking you to do, and you decided in yourself that you're not going to do it, believe it or not, these men are going to go. And women, you will too. But I feel like I can forgive you. But at that point, that original point where we looked at each other with that innocence, where I knew you were mine and I was yours, especially in marriage, I don't think I could do that. I know I don't think I could do that because you broke these vows that we took. Relationships, you ain't really taking no vows. You just said we're going to do it. Vows you took in front of people when you were married, because nobody was there when we decided we was going to get in a relationship. But everybody was there when I proposed. Well, at least some people, you and I was there if it was just you and I. But people were there when we got married, because if for nothing else, the priest or the judge was there. We took vows and we said we was going to do this in front of God. You see what I'm saying? And so for me, that's too much. I don't play when it comes to things of God. I don't put stuff on him. That's why I don't listen to a whole lot of prophets. Once you say God, to me, that's the highest point. And if I'm going to take a vow for God that I'm going to keep these vows and you would think so cavalier to break them, I don't know. I can forgive you, but I don't know. I mean, that's just me. What y'all think?
I agree with you.
Chris?
I have to forgive you.
Yeah, I think I'm with you for the most part. Like you said, it's hard to move on after being cheated on, especially in marriage and that whole thing. Like you said, it's a covenant made before God and man. It's a very serious thing. But men were very loyal, and then too, in my mind, I know that women cheat for the emotional capacity as well. It's not just physical. You may say, well, a lot of women in the chat are saying, they have sexual urges. That's kind of baloney. I'm not saying that every now and again you have a woman, but by and large, it's the emotional. She's missing something emotionally, so there's an attachment there. A man can be done what he's doing and just totally, that's it. All right, that was that. Let me go back home, take care. And so I'm not saying it's right, but it's different. And so me knowing that, it is very challenging to know that she was with another man and attached emotionally. Yeah.
But can I just interject something in?
Go ahead.
Even though your wife may have been cheating on you sexually, she may not be giving her man, that guy, emotions. It could literally just be she's just going over there to take a break, and then she's coming back home to you. I feel like every time a guy feels like a woman has sex and her emotions are all, and that's not true. Now, I'm not, and it, like I said, she could just be going over there and she put in her mind, you know what, I'm still going home to my husband. I'm not going to break up my family. I'm staying with my kids, but I'm just going to go and lay over here for some peace.
And even with that, you running a risk there, because here's the thing. Here's the problem. And this is one of the things that I always say on this platform. I say it all the time. This is one of the double standards that we benefit from. The thing that y'all never found our male member that valuable, because you yourself said we treat it like it's a badge of honor, or it's something like we the man if we do it. But we value your body, and sometimes more than you do. And the more times you receive another man in your body, that registers different for us. We don't, and you saying that oxytocin, that's real. That's about as real as your estrogen. Okay, that's about as real as your ability, your hunger. That's natural for a woman to have more oxytocin levels than a man. And if men, we can look at a woman and desire her, and our mind, we'll be like, we hit that and go straight home, get out my house, or I'm leaving right away. Y'all be wanting to talk. Y'all be wanting to have conversations. And here's the thing. When I ask some women about this joint, they always have considered leaving us for that dude. They considered leaving. Y'all do not have sex with men that y'all can't see yourself with. Because you would have never went there with him. You would have never, y'all not like men. We could be kind of reckless with our stuff. We see a big booty and big kazumbas and we gone. Y'all would think about that thing long and through before y'all go there with him.
Now,
y'all
wait,
know that's true. And that is true across the board. It ain't the same. We don't think like that. Y'all think beyond that. Now, it may not materialize, and then you come back like Scrappy to us with your dog between your legs. But for the most part, y'all will think about, man, I can see myself. Look at this car. I can see myself with him. Man, we like, look at that booty. I'm about to ride this thing all the way, and then I'm going to go shower and go home. Because we don't think like that. We don't think. It takes an amazing woman to make us leave and even think on that level. It takes an amazing, when we step out, we'll look at that woman, and a lot of times we may think, hey, this might be something. But really, it wasn't that got us. It was our physical attraction to this person. You see what I'm saying? Most of the time it's that way. Y'all wired differently. Y'all think y'all are more emotional than we are in that regard. And I don't know why y'all like to try to fight this and say, no, some of y'all, you can't be city girls out here. Y'all don't do that. That's not even something y'all do.
But if I go and cheat with one man, that doesn't mean that I'm a city girl. I mean,
what I mean by city girl, from one person, a man, we go boom, 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 boom. We have a stable. And y'all will have that one long dong that y'all will keep going back to because why? You secretly love him.
But I want to say Nancy Michelle wrote on here to assume that the woman cannot just cheat purely physically is a fallacy. There are women, if you put it in your mind, say like, for example, if a woman signs up to just be a booty partner, there's been women that signed up to be a booty partner, and the guy was the one who started falling because she was just saying to herself, you know what, I put you in my mind, that's all that you are. I never dreamed of getting in a relationship with you. So if she can do it, then I don't condone cheating. I'm not a cheater. I've never cheated in any relationship. Let me say that again. But why can't she just go over there with that guy and then come back home?
To that, I would say again, I think we with you, Derek. It's not realistic that a woman can cheat and not be emotional. Now, if she's beyond the point where it does not have an emotional component to it, then that whole thing about pair bonding, because it diminishes. The more men a woman has been with, her ability to bond with the opposite sex diminishes. And if you are at the point where you can go out here and do this with us, then the answer has already been given. You're telling me yourself, you've probably been with too many different men.
And your oxytocin level is so low that you bonding even with him is out of the question.
I am outnumbered here, so I'm gonna let y'all have that.
Really? I can pull up the article if you want. I mean, I got screen share on here. I can do the science.
Hey, no, D, I'm not gonna argue. You know what? I'm gonna show y'all that I have the ability to just be quiet. Okay,
so let me ask this. So because men have always known that if you sleep with a virgin, she gonna get attached. Why is that? Is that coincidental? No, it's because the oxytocin is so high, and then again, the more she loses that ability. That's why, honestly, I've always, if I wasn't serious, I never tried to mess with a virgin because I didn't want to take that from, even when I was younger. Wasn't perfect, but I'm just saying I want to stay away from that particular situation because again, man already, and women know that too. She gets attached to that man. That mean that's one more proof do we need.
Well, I get what you're saying with that, but keep in mind, women have also been socialized from a young age to dream of marriage. So when you get with that one guy, because I can see that when I was in my younger ages, with some of the guys that I did, I just would be thinking that we were going to get married. I mean, and it's because we have been culturally just made to believe that our whole entire life. So I feel like, yeah, you are attached to the guy because also as a woman, I know you guys think that we don't think that we're equals. Like I said, if a guy goes out there and sleep with 50 women,
why you keep trying to please us?
Go out there and compete with him.
Hold on, why you keep trying to put us with men, girl? What you trying to say?
If he go out there and sleep with 50 women, let me make sure I'm clear. I, as a woman, am not finna go out there and sleep with 50 men to keep up with him. Women, we just don't think. But you know what? I may be going off on a tangent here, but I will also say I think if women orgasm the way that men orgasm from sex, I think the numbers would be both of the sex is all over the place. It's a release. It feels good.
We can do that at home.
What?
We can get our release at home. We don't necessarily have to leave.
But it's better when it's with somebody else.
That's true. I'm just saying. Okay, and I got one more question, and I want y'all to ask the questions in the comment section. I've been seeing your questions. I see Nancy's been very, very into this conversation. I love it. I wish you could have been on. But here's the thing that I'm saying. It is sex, but honestly, men can put ourselves in that position because they are presenting something that men value more than sex in some regard, and that's peace. Sometimes y'all make it really hard. It starts with us not coming home. You see what I'm saying? If you made our house so unbearable where we literally are not wanting to come home, that leaves that door for that to happen. Whereas men, we're not necessarily as emotionally driven. It is something in us that makes us feel like if we could get that peace somewhere else, we will take that over you. The Bible even talks about this, and most men know this scripture. It's better to be in the corner of a roof than downstairs with a contentious woman. And if you are arguing, you're fighting, we come in the door, you already got something going on. If he is not coming home, that is a problem. That is a problem. And guess what? You ready for this, Trina?
I'm listening.
You know that 80-20?
I'm listening.
75 is that. We already, the 20 is that physical. The 80%, that 75, that peace we get at home. Why? Because most men, y'all want us to have our own, right? Right?
Yeah.
That's something that is hard for a man to give up. It's that space that we got in our own home. That peace when we come in our house, it's where we like it. It's how we like it. It's how we left it. Shh, shh. You hear that? Nothing. That's what I'm saying. I don't think people really, really understand how that matters to a man. And when we ask y'all what we desire, you come with this, you want love, you want, no, we want peace in our home. And we want you to be physically attracted. And I don't think people really, honestly, all the men, and I asked men, and I told them I wasn't going to go there with them. I'm not going to put them on here. But y'all wouldn't know how many times the men say, man, I just don't want to argue. I don't want to be fighting with no woman. I want peace. And that's sad. You ready for this? And then I'm going to ask this last question before we take it. The side chick should not be treating your man with more peace than you do.
But she's going to, because she's not dealing with that man in the capacity that the main chick is. It's a fantasy. I think that's the thing of.
You think if these men be honest,
the grass
they hear
is
from
greener.
your man every day. They talk to your man every day. They hang out with your man every day.
It's a highlight.
They know things about your man that you refuse to even listen to. You sure you want to go down this path?
Yes.
This is a man talking, the men down their heads. Y'all be thinking, see, that's the thing. A lot of women, y'all think y'all live in this fairy land where you think you know, but you really don't. These men, these side chicks, they know your man. And you say they ain't got to put up with them. No, they don't present to them the stuff that some of you present because they know better. Why? Because they know this can end any moment. You sometimes take it for granted because you know he's going to come home. This side chick understands this can end, and they don't want to, so they're going to do what they need to do, something that you should be doing all along. Okay, go ahead, Chris. You want to get in.
Man, Derek, you hit that thing spot on. I know for a fact that that's true. I can speak from my own personal experiences. But men cheat because peace at home is so very, very important for a man. And our women have been taught to be opinionated, and that's a good thing. Be opinionated. A man has never married a woman because she was very opinionated. Period. He doesn't marry a woman. The first thing Adam said was, bone of my bone. He knows the physical attributes, that bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. Oh, she looks good to my eyes. That's one of the main reasons a man will marry a woman. But it certainly has nothing to do with the peace. And I can tell you, it can be hard to come home knowing that peace ain't there. And I'm just
Okay, Chris.
and I'm trying to do things right. I ain't perfect. I'm trying to do things right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Trina.
I was going to say, can we start the narrative that both people need to bring peace? Because I feel like certain men, if you're in a relationship as a woman, I want peace too. I don't feel like coming home to get into an argument with you, but I don't want you stepping on me talking about I put my foot down because I'm the man. You know?
Why does he have to tell you that though, Trina?
No, but he could be, some guys could be chauvinistic. And he's
here we go. Let's go.
The
referee says that. Let's go. This is what I was waiting on.
Why we can't just look
chauvinistic?
God would be called
conversation. It's like every time these conversations like this would be, like Trina said earlier about not blaming the women all the time. I don't really think it's that. These are the dynamics, and that's why you teach your young men, don't be so quick to shack up with a woman, so to speak, right after, because you look at most of these women led. So if you've been a young man under the authority of your mother for 18, say you had sister or sisters too, they watched the mama, how she acted with you, and they came down. This is where the big mama and little sister complex comes in at. Because now you're getting not rounded out to become a man and had your own stuff first, and because you just have a little girlfriend, you didn't got turned out by some I call it memory on there. At the end of the day, you turned out. Now you got another mom on your hands because what you said earlier, I'm coming home and I can't get no help, and I'm just that's because to basically mama, and that ain't what you're supposed to be to him. So then it's like now you're going to what is happening in between the four walls, and then this man is going out and handling the pressure that I'm doing this to provide. So now what it comes down to, compliment. If I don't have the compliment, if you're not gonna even give me your ear, but then I'm somebody 75 to 80% of the time, when everything else, some people can have two jobs. If that man is out there putting everything, blood, sweat, and tears on the line, he absolutely ain't trying to come home and do all that. I guarantee you, if a man coming home popping stuff off with you, and I just don't believe that, I'm home doing that, there's a problem. There is a problem with
so.
Coming in the mug if that's happening. Something is wrong. He got his mother's spirit, right? Because we go through too much. We go through too much. And I'm going to be very transparent as a single man, and that I've had extremely, those 14-hour, 15-hour days that they just wanted to get to talk to somebody about that. And I just learned how to be my own therapist, learn how to be myself, govern myself, up a man, so that by the time he gets a woman, he can tout that ability to out the temperature. That's why when I walk through my door, my dog running to me, my children run, because they looking for the Lord for peace. So to some degree, I can agree that the man does have to set the temperature.
Hello,
but
that's all
has to be a lot going on there, because even when you think about us having to, and this D is that because what you have that memory foam down, when you birth a child, that thing has to manipulate to push that baby out. Now in manipulation, it has to do because we got to compete with your toys, we got to compete with you stepping now, whatever, all of that. Yeah, it may be an issue because there is imprints being left in you, because you're that every person whose hands you've been in made an alteration, and then because you know we there, we have to sit up there and be laying in the bed and realize that dog will come up out of you one day, and it's Tom, Dick, and Harry, and it ain't got nothing to do with us. It's just the imprint of the ends up being the problem, and that's why you can't play with it, and that's why I love to be a man, we're going to care about who's touching you to protect to the day we die. Because the scriptures say a just man, children have something. We always are focused on today. Die today. When Christ was crucified, his disciples was good, because that is our job. So we want to make sure we've given you everything in the event that woman ain't got to be doing no GoFundMes. She ain't got to be trying to figure this out, sorrow and mourn over me, but she won't have to worry about a doggone thing financially, a roof over head, nothing. And you have to let us do that. Otherwise, yes, everything becomes so true. We got to face the world. But it's one thing to be Mufasa, and then somebody at the Pride don't want to be Sarabi. Come back home to. Because you mad that we got to go out and be Mufasa. They move like loners. Like, that's why I said Lion King as adults now, because it's a whole nother interpretation you get when you understand how tigers move, how lions move. It was so many messages.
That you missed that one part.
Y'all, it seems like y'all want to. A lot of women today want to move, and hyenas are led by their women. That's why Whoopi Goldberg was. We wouldn't have got that because we were children.
Chris,
but now you grow up, you get spanned. There's a certain way that we all supposed to move, and we got to just move that way and be willing to submit.
So I'll say this, man. If you got with a man, Trina, if you got with a man that doesn't want peace, man, that's a real rarity. We're known for the big shutdown. We'll relegate our position, authority, even our personal desires. Say, hey, scratch what I'll think. I'll just let her be. I'll let her be the lion and all over, all that. And our women are very aggressive. I heard you talk about several times tonight, the man going upside her head, she got to have a purse ready. But our women are far more aggressive. You know how they're aggressive? This way. But we can't keep a clicker on that. And a man is very vulnerable in a particular way. And that's particularly with a woman-female relationship. She has the ability to really bring him up. Because y'all quick to say behind every strong man is a good woman. And that's true. But she can also tear him down if he allows it. And that just is what it is. And we see even with somebody like Samson in the Bible, this man was a manslayer. He had no problem confronting people, dealing with people head on. 10,000 men a day, no problem. Let's go get it. But he had a wife at home. He gave her good sex. Now, that's in the Bible. That's not my interpretation. But she wasn't doing well. He said, let me move on to what we would call the mistress. So that side chick piece. She wasn't doing it. He went all the way down to a whore to get what he needed. And you know what's what he needed? Because the Bible said she gave him a place to what? Lay his head. Interpretation, she gave the man peace. That's all he ever wanted. The sex is a given. It's not even really discussed on that level. But he went from a wife to a mistress to a whore to get what he needed. And she got out of him what his wife and the mistress couldn't get. Through peace. A lot can be learned in that. It wasn't,
But you see how you just said that he got out of her, she got out of him, but it was to his detriment. So he's going somewhere, laying your head instead of being in your primary relationship, which is supposed to be your marital relationship, and trying to fix the problems. To me, that is not the answer. And that's the perfect scripture that highlights why that is, although it was wonderful over there and he was peaceful for a moment, that woman done messed him up.
I don't want to miss the application. Wife, though. I don't want to miss the application. The point here is, and I'm not saying he made the right decision. You can see clearly that he went to a place where he could find peace. He kept going down the totem pole. Notice he didn't go up the totem pole. He went down the totem pole. That's why all of Halle Berry's husband.
She said, wait, hold on. I'm not trying to interrupt you. She said men cheat down.
I
Men
do.
don't cheat down.
They cheat
What you see,
somebody
the thing
who-
is, y'all like to value what the next woman is based off of your standards and not off of his. So when you see another woman, it's so many times y'all see another woman, you be like, he left me for that. In his eyes, it only matters. It doesn't matter what you think. It only matters what he felt. And if he left you somebody, because it's a lot of dudes I done seen turn down very beautiful women and get with women that probably wasn't on that level of beauty, but they still married. So he found something valuable in her, and y'all keep saying that that's how y'all cope with it. When a man leave you, that's how y'all cope. You say, you look at her. That's the one time that y'all don't mind body shaming, which is crazy. Not you, but that's the one time y'all don't mind body shaming. Y'all body shame the heck out of the woman that your man left you for. Y'all will body shame her, but it's only when we have something to say about you being a silverback to Kenny. That's when you have a problem. But you allowed to call these other women big silverbacks and all this other junk because why? Because you don't see that he sees something in her that he didn't see in you that you refuse to show him based off of your standards and your conditions.
Now,
So
Deacon, I ask, are you talking about? I'm not saying that he cheated and left you for her. I'm saying that he went down there and cheated. So
even
you don't
when we
pull up
cheat,
your
we don't always
relationship,
cheat down.
and this
though.
woman cannot
It's something
even
of value that she has that you didn't present. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It is always something of value when men cheat. When we go out there, if you ask these men if they were smart, not scallies and dusties, if they read these dudes, they would tell you, no, it wasn't just that. And here's the thing. Even if it was sex, and I'm going to go here, and I'm not trying to talk about you, Trina, because I don't know you, don't experience you, don't plan on it. But check this out. Y'all are under the impression that all of y'all got good sex, and it is not the case. Some of y'all junk is about as dry as every desert
I'll tell the lady,
in the world.
drink water.
But we are not allowed to say that. So even if it was the sex, we would rather ride up with the gushing geysers of the Menominee Falls than to roll around with a Brillo pad. So even with that, it's value to us. So we will never cheat down. That is never what we do. Every time we cheat, we gonna cheat up or of equal value at the minimum. But it will never be equal because it's gonna be. I promise you, it's gonna be the case. You want to know why? Because the simple thing is, when we cheat, even if it's sex, it's still sex. We ain't gonna leave you if it's something there. It's gotta be.
But men,
Chris, you
if
say
a
you
man
don't
lay
agree.
with a woman,
I'm
he
listening.
gonna have an orgasm though. That's like not.
We don't
even
always have orgasm. Men
Most of the time,
too.
y'all do. There's an orgasm gap between men and women. Somebody brought up a toy. That's why that whole rose phenomenon is coming up to play. From an anatomy standpoint, the clitoris is the equivalent to the male penis. And do you know how many men don't even know where a clitoris is?
Well, we ain't about that. You sure you want to have this discussion now?
Listen,
I mean, we gotta have this discussion offline. Go, Chris. Chris was about to say something, and then I gotta ask this last one.
Okay, no, I said not the case, but I was reiterating something you said that I actually agree with. That men, we say cheating down, but really in our book, it's cheating up. It's getting what's important to us, and peace is that important. Samson didn't say, let me go down. He just kept looking for what he was looking for, and he found in Delilah. We know she was the wrong pick, so I don't want to get sidetracked and not miss the application. The point is, he went to find what he was looking for, and she gave him a place to lay his head. Upon doing that, he got secrets out of him that nobody else was able to do. So we can't overmiss that part of it, if that makes sense.
But Chris, with us not missing that part, can we also acknowledge that although that was a great point, it's also another point of how you can tap your whole house under the illusion that it's some peace over there because that lady done jacked Samson up. Now, he wouldn't have had that happen if he was with his wife.
But
he should do it.
He would have never been there if his wife wouldn't.
No, you can't put you want to put somebody's behavior on somebody. I can't control nobody.
Okay.
Woo, yeah, you actually can.
You
You know
cannot
how?
control
I bet
anybody.
you if I said something on this mic right now, I can definitely you off real bad. I bet you I could. So in that essence, I can control your emotions. So you can control. And here's the thing. Chris alluded to it earlier. When y'all start to talk, it can control us. It affects how we operate. Just had the situation when somebody said something, it can trigger a response. And sometimes our response is like Chris said, we will do this. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. So I always say when something bad goes wrong in a relationship, I always try to look at it as it could be a 50-50 situation. I made the situation worse by going and bringing somebody else in. But we cannot totally just, prevaricate around the fact that you may have been if you were doing what you were supposed to do, I wouldn't be here in the first place, and vice versa. Men the same way, though. I admitted that in my own life. I did. I said that. I know I said that. Yeah, that's a good word. But yeah, I couldn't think of no other word. I was trying to keep this thing at a remedial level, I guess you could say. But no, seriously, I always feel like everything is 50-50. I don't believe in relationships where somebody gets the whole blame. What I don't like is when somebody wants to give the whole blame to somebody else and eliminates themselves for being a part of what just happened.
Yeah.
Men cheat, women cheat. And I always said there's gray areas to this thing. It's not, that's why I really didn't want to cover it, because we already been in here this long, but it's a deep thing because it's not so black and white. It's always going to be so many different facets, so many levels of gray, which brings me to this question that I got to ask y'all. Everybody tells you when you cheat, just leave them. And how many times did we see people, I know I didn't leave, and when I did my dirt, they didn't leave me all the time. Why is it that people say leave? Is it really that easy to leave? Is it really that easy where somebody cheat, I'm gone? If you invested all this time, money, energy, and sometimes children, is it so easy to just leave? Trina, I'll let you go. I'll let you go first.
It's not easy to leave. That's why you have the story of people the person will have cheated and they might not leave to 2 years later. I mean, you have to once cheating has taken place, you have to understand that the relationship that it has completely died. So it may take you some time to get used to, or the fact that, if I do walk out that door, how is this going to affect the kids? When you're married, it's not like I'm just breaking up, you go on your way and I go mine. We have to go to the courts. We got to set up our kids to figure out. So no, it's not easy to leave. It's a lot of work.
Okay. I like that. You were straight and to the point. I'll let Anthony go first.
Yeah, to a great extent. It shouldn't be easy to leave. And I believe that's why I forgot to tell me one time that, women always have that. So when Trina talks about a couple of years later, as a man, she might be setting up right behind your back. So you literally, again, we're going back to the table. Judas sitting right at the table. You're in this house, but there's someone plotting. Now we go back because, like I said, the quote unquote cheating. We're gonna play that word. Your cheating starts with opening your ears to your parents, opening it because somebody don't understand that mother, father to cleave to wife, so they don't understand that I gave her away. They're the same way that somebody would be manipulative. I don't really like you talking to Johnny, but Johnny, you know what? You really could choose that degree or this that. I've said it so many times. Biggest thing that you find out that we all do to some degree in our lives, because as a father, shift my children a direction, but they're better over here. That's when the commitment to them, because I don't gotta throw down the hammer every time. He may lose, blah blah blah, and I gotta be able to submit to that. So for a woman or anyone is deciding to leave, more often than not, as Chris talked about, it's about 75-80%. They have chosen massa, and you know what the scriptures say about that. You can't can't have two masters. You're going to love one, hate the other, despise one, be devout, have no idea, because Christ talked about divorce. You have no idea when you put the relationship in a third party's hands, they have your documentation on a marriage license to show you what they're going to do with your children, because they have your certificate official to sow into the future of your child and rob from that monetary. So now you're giving somebody the power to be master instead of God. His designation. Oh, the children gonna go here, daddy gonna go here, and lives are ripped apart. In the overall scheme, if they get the revelation, yeah, they may stay. But if they don't, you can do better. 75 to 80% prove she has went to the court and filed divorce. Therefore, the courts.
That was pretty. You always try to look, man. You be messing me up sometimes because I'll be listening to you talking. I'll be like, dude, this dude be killing me. You be having some points and they be flying over a lot of people's head. Has anybody ever told you that? People be looking at you, they be like, oh, you deep with it though. I like it though. Go ahead, Chris.
I like to let people just think out the box, man, because they ain't just on man or the woman, man. I feel like if we just come to the table and talk like this, and it'll get easier. But a lot of people leave because somebody told them, oh, that's them. That's their shit.
But can we come to the table and talk before the cheating has taken place? It's so much work.
But even after we did talk. Even after somebody encouraging you to leave, it's like whatever size shoe you wear, manipulative advice, because you know what, I'm her mama. She gonna listen to me. Now you squeeze your foot in that 10 years of pain, and God told you to figure that out. Because it's your relationship. You're supposed to walk in your size, not what your sister, your friends, whoever, some of them already. These are the problems. But I want to hear what Chris got.
Yeah, Chris about to bring. Come on, man. Come on, Chris.
Trina.
Chris.
Beyonce, let me tell you this. So, because your whole philosophy, where you said, well, first of all, you kind of contradict yourself. You said women don't leave; they'll wait till 2 years after. Well, you still leaving. We got to take that to the incinerator. We know full well now the facts are out, the studies are out, and they all pretty well say the same thing, and that is women are cheating fairly at the same level as a man. What's the difference? But we have to also, like Dwayne was saying, look at that stat, man. We see that women are filing for divorce 4 out of 5 times, 8 out of 10, however you want to look at it. And it's only going up. It's not going down because you guys are quicker to call it quits. I think that it's not easy for a man to leave because he is just more loyal and committed. Even before marriage, I can look at my cousins, my family, buddies, stories I've heard. You see time and time again, a man, if at all possible, he'll try to stay and work it out. But a woman, especially she has single, that's one of the truest things Kevin used to say. Single women keep women single. I say all women. Because honestly, like you were saying, your aunties, your mom, even Trina, I think you said that, not trying to give you business, but you telling you, hey, girl, get your degree. Girl, don't put up with this. Girl, have your own this. Well, that ain't the recipe for a marriage. Sorry, whether you want to hear it or not.
You can't make this shit up.
Come on, thank you. So, because it is what it is. That's not the recipe. I say women keep women single. I take the singleness out of it. I love my family. I could name different people, but they don't give solid advice. We've had these conversations. I'm like, wow, ma'am, you've been married for 25 years. You've been married. Why would you? But again, don't give solid advice. I look at what my grandmother, last thing, Dwayne, you were saying something very, very important. And that is, it's because, see, our women don't have a problem submitting and being committed and loyal. They just don't see us as the authority. Because I can tell you right now, her job, she's working 30 hours a week. When they need to go up to 40, you know what she's going to do? She'll go up to 40. When they need to go from 40 to 50 and 60, you know what she's going to do? when they needed to get a report done or needed to travel over here or to, do all the things and they asked her to do it, she's gonna do it. It is what I've seen it time and time again. It's true. But a man asks you for a glass of water, he got to fight the great barbarians.
It seems that you guys are saying that in order for a woman to be married, she literally has to choose the marriage or either marriage or career. Why can't she have both of them?
No, we choose. We need. Listen, we're not saying that. What I'm saying is, y'all tend to put so much stock into that career that you haven't been taught even how to be wives. So whereas you got your career, you got your money, you don't know how to coexist with anybody that's not you or anything that you don't control. And so that's the issue. Most men like me, I don't mind. I would love it because I'm educated. I'm in a career myself, in a couple actually. So I wouldn't mind, somebody coming, we can come and talk about the things that we are dealing with in our careers. And I would be wanting to hear it. I love purpose women. I love women that are ambitious. I like women that are smart, intelligent. But I also like that you can hold that and say, even with all that, D, you still, my man, I still trust you to be, quote unquote, the authority in this house if we are married. I still trust you to be the man. And the thing is, another thing that we're dealing with, which is why I'm trying to get you to veer away from that conditional femininity, we're not going to wait for that. We're not going to wait. So why are you trying to wait to show us your femininity? Once we show you, by then we offer them something else. That's what, and because time is of the essence.
What does that mean, conditional femininity? Explain that to me.
That means if you do this, then I'll show you this. I'll show you I can be submissive. I'll show you I can be feminine. I won't have to be masculine if you show me you can lead. That's conditional. That should be your mindset coming in from jump. We need to see your feminine because after we see you are attractive, that's the very next thing, ma'am.
Well, do you think it was different because
you can't be a man?
But do you think the next thing is that fathers used to kind of, when they accepted the dowry from the husband, the girl halfway, I mean, even if the dad was leaving her out to slaughter, I feel like if you had a dad, you would trust him. Okay, he checked this guy out, so it must be all right.
Yeah, but we're in a different society. I think I established that we're in a woman-led society now.
Good. So how do we as women, I want to hear from a male's perspective, how do we as women gauge whether you're proper? Because every man that comes in my life and says hello and try to get my phone number, I don't feel like I should just be.
You go ahead. I'm gonna let one of them take it because I don't want to turn it to KS here.
I think we have to challenge our women to reconstruct their value system as it relates to choosing their partner, because unfortunately a lot of women don't have the father figure to do that, or the masculine perspective to guide them, in those instances. So what we can certainly do is hopefully just recreate that value system that they use to choose a man, because even for I keep saying my family, I ain't putting them on blast, but it is for my family, church family, all the way out. You hear it all the time. What a woman is looking for in a marriage is often not what she needs. It's not the foundational things that she should be looking for. There's nothing wrong with her finding a nice looking man. It should not be part of her top 5 criteria, period. And if he's going to be responsible, if he's committed, if he's has a long tenure on his job, if he has a spiritual component and this kind of thing, well, then you ma'am, that's the kind of guy you might want to be a little more interested in, as opposed to Genuine or whoever these people are. You know what I'm saying? So.
That was a good answer, Chris.
No
that was not good anymore. That was
he over the hill. Sometimes it's man, did y'all hear about that Ryan Isley song? Did y'all see it yet?
I did.
Oh my God. If you ain't seen it, I'll send it to y'all when we done here. I mean, so I want to end this thing. I want to give you guys, each one of you, I want to let you say whatever you want to say about this topic. And I'm going to let you go ahead and do that. And I'm going to start with you, Trina, since you the only woman on panel. And next time, I promise, we're going to have somebody, maybe Keisha could get her Wi-Fi situated by then. But go ahead, sweetheart.
I would just say that relationships are beautiful. I still have hope that men and women can come together and in peace and love and harmony with each other. And if for whatever reason that you're in a relationship, if it's not working, I don't think cheating is the answer. Cheating hurts, and I think the last thing we should want to do, even if we don't want the person anymore, don't send them out into the world damaged. Let us just be done with the relationship. If we can't try to fix it, we can just be done with it, and maybe we could be friends or whatever. That's my take.
Okay. Chris?
Yeah, I would say that I appreciate you having this discussion, Derek. I think that these discussions are going to be a catapult to get us to address the conflict that we've been having, particularly in the Black community. This gap of where it's like we're not connecting, we're not building families, we're single and content. But I think that having these conversations is where it'll start. Because honestly, you don't even get this in church. You know, if they're still teaching, Boaz is coming to save the day. And let me tell you, that story is way out of whack. It ain't taught
He
right.
coming to say yo.
You know what I'm saying? And he ain't coming. He hasn't came, and he won't be there. So that was a pause. But at the end of the day, we got to really deal with it because, again, even in the church, and there's no disrespect, but they're not dealing with this from even the biblical level. But having these conversations, I think, will help get us there.
Okay, that's good. Okay, King.
First of all, I want to say thanks for inviting me in your house, D. I've been on the panel with Chris and Trina. Glad to meet you both and have these tough. Knows I love tough discussions. That's why I like to mess. I like to ruffle some feathers. And some of I really like when, and as I said before, I like when we can have these and because I am, like I said, I'm of the belief that today in this the element of the serpent is social media, and that's why you can just see what's on your mind. It's asking you the minute you get on these sites, Facebook, whatever, their souls. And we know what the scripture says about that. Out of the matters of the matters of the heart come out of you, come out. And so because we know that this is really the heart when the scriptures talks about it, the heart, a lot of issues that people go through. It's a lot of things that they bear. And I believe that if we get these back together and whole, then we will have our healing. We will have the things we need. But society is shifting this break. And I don't know how you all would feel about it, but I believe more often than not that it's the so-called Black man, his children, and then the so-called Black woman is a whole. And we just got to stop that. We got to do something about that because that's what so-called Black men, it's our fault for the most part, from other cultures. They said they want to run things through a matriarch, through our women, and that pressure that's on about it, and we're trying to help, but it's like y'all don't want it. So being so afraid of the order of protection, because once that fence is open up, it's open season. And as I've said many times before, you brought up different times, different periods. Well, women and children have always been spoils of war. One who conquered a community to brag about. And I feel like right nation, I don't look at it as a supremacy because only God can be supreme. I look at it as a rulership. Right now, want to brag that they're using our women as pawns because they're in it through you. So as many single homes as possible, not protected by us. That's a let's fix that. So great show tonight.
Thank you guys. I really want to thank you guys for joining. Y'all made this so much easier. I got my referee shirt on because y'all listen. I knew y'all was gonna bring it, and I got to have you guys back. Maybe I should have brought you guys on when I was doing the speaking tongue thing because I know y'all was chomping at the bit. I love you too, Trina. Yeah, I know you was chomping at the bit to get at that because I knew that was gonna be one. And even though y'all know I'm Pentecostal, y'all know how I feel about that. And Chris knows that. He was actually, it was so good to see you, man, when you came to the church. I kept looking. I wasn't trying to be on no, Paul's junk, but I was like, I know him. That was Chris. sitting in the audience while we was at service. So he knows what I'm exposed to. And I would never, try to denigrate, where I play. But, these are questions that need to be asked. Maybe next time I'm going to, we bring this up. I want to have you guys on to have these discussions. And I don't think that they're bad discussions. I think they bear fruit. It's good to have discussions and being able to reason, because the very Bible we read was done this way. So I know when we got there, it was beautiful. As far as this conversation, we're going to have more tough conversations like this. Again, this is a tough one, which is why I stayed away from it so long, because it's so many facets to it. And it's never, and here's one of those things, it's not a one size fit all, because what we would deal with, and I've never been married, but I know people who are married and they're going to fight that thing till that thing go down. And then it dissolves. So because that's the way we were raised. And my mother and father was like, the only way you getting rid of me is if they tag your toe. My father passed, and there you go. But that's a different era. It wasn't dysfunction. You see what I'm saying? They were a real family. That day is dead. And I'm hoping that we can have more discussions on that. And the reason why y'all sent some questions, Chris, I know you did, but I knew we was going to cover them. I knew somehow we was going to get to those questions. I was like, I know how y'all roll. I know how Trina is. I know how Chris is. And I've been seeing some of King's stuff. But let's do this again, y'all. Let's have another discussion. Let's go deep. Pause. Let's have these deep discussions where we talk about some real things. I mean, really, Trina, you always say this, but I would love to hear your mind on financial stuff, because you keep saying financially stable. That seems to be something you really value.
I do.
And so a lot of times we would say, well, what the heck does that mean? To us. So I'm going to have that discussion. We need to talk about that. I believe in our community, we do need to have that, because we make more money now. Black men killing it, believe it or not. We making money now. We out here. Well, you see what they doing though, right? They moving the goalposts. That's what inflation is. It's the moving of the goalposts. Because all y'all that's getting this bag now, we got to keep you right where you are. So we need to find a way to make sure we are maximizing our dollars together, because we can raise $1 billion to build a church, but we can't build a community. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So these are discussions that we gonna have. So those of you who are pastors watching this, we're not trying to step on your toes, but you're more than welcome to join us. So I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to do my little closing thing is, y'all don't have to leave. You can stay in the green room, because I know y'all probably about to chew each other out when y'all get there.
No, we're not.
I'm going to do this close, and I'm going to be right over there with y'all. So see y'all guys later. Chris, Anthony, and my girl Trina. Love you, girl. Thank you for joining. So we had some fun tonight. It was very interesting, and I enjoyed doing this show. We're going to do more of these shows. Somebody just sent me something that I'm definitely going to cover. It's talking about Kurt Franklin said the lion and the lamb will bow down to the goat. I need to watch this video, and I'm definitely going to dig into it. So anybody that knows anything about this, send this to me. Because I might have to do a pop-up Preachers Gone Wild if this is what I think it is, because I do know what the GOAT is. At least I think I know what the GOAT is. Let me just dig into this. This is going to be deep. But it was fun to do this show tonight. We're going to do another show next week. I do have another show lined up for you that's going to be very good. But let me see what the crew is going to talk about, because it's about to get heated up in this green room. So anyway, I love you. Let me find my theme music to get up on out of here. Where's my music? Here we go. End song. So what song? I want to do my song. So anyway, I want to tell you guys I love you. A lot of people have been passing, and I want you guys to understand. I will always tell you I love you. I will always tell you I appreciate you. Make sure you tell somebody you love them. You never know when it's going to be the last time. Until next week, I love you. Nothing you can do about it. Peace. Don't go